Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Book Club. Why is my camera delayed? Never mind. Anyways, how's everybody doing? We're back here on the Book Club, where we get a panel of guests, talk about different works of art from all media types. We talk movies, we talk music albums, we talk actual books, video games, everything. Each week we choose a different media. I get a group of people. We all figure out what we're talking about, and then we come here and we talk about it. That's right. That's how it goes. And we're still waiting on a guest. So hopefully they show up. But for now, it will be just me. Oh, hold on. Yep, someone's coming finally. All right, yes. So we do have a full panel, or not full. We were supposed to have 4 people. And then things happened, and so today we only have 3 out. We usually do 4 people, 4 albums, or 4 movies. Today things didn't work out, so today we got 3 people and 3 albums. Still gonna be a great show, and heck yeah. So let's get right on to introducing the guests. First, we have from I saw this person over on the Cult of Carl RNG podcast, and Carl yelled at me. He's like, "Paul, get this guy on your show now." So I'm like, all right, I'll add you as a friend, and we're gonna get you on my show. Mr. Sophomore John, how you doing, buddy?
I've been doing fantastic. Thanks so much for for having me. I'm really excited, and thank you, Carl. I love you. God bless you.
RNG podcast, everybody go check that out. Hell yeah. Well, I am very excited to have you. I really enjoyed your choice of albums. We'll tell everybody the albums in a second here, but hell yeah, man. Awesome. I gotta I'll talk about it in a second, but we're talking about backstage about how non-musicians are iffy about coming on this show, but we'll talk about it in a second. Let's get our next guest in here. He was here last week talking some mob movies, some crime movies. It's Mr. And then I found out he was he a drummer? He's a drummer, I think. And I said, get the fuck on the show, Mr. Stupenzo. How you doing, buddy?
Okay, so fun thing to know, guys. If you take a nap and you set your alarm on and you have your phone on battery saver mode, it will not go off. So luckily I just woke up just in time, and I was like,
perfect.
Oh my God.
We stalled for a little bit too. We're like, I don't know if he's
couldn't
coming,
help
but
but
we're
notice.
good.
I couldn't help but notice. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry.
No problem. No, you're good. You're good.
All right.
Nice to meet you, Stu. Appreciate
you too, man. Yeah, Enzo's my name, so yeah, feel free to call me that.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah,
You'll call me Stu. You'll call me Stu, and I won't respond. I'm like, who's Stu? Oh, okay, I got it.
Alrighty. It's funny because me and John here were talking backstage. It's like I get such a hard time trying to find non-musicians to come on this show to talk albums, and so then when I hear Enzo, when you're like, oh yeah, I play drums, I do music, I'm like, oh, I need you for Music Book Club, because nobody wants to fucking come on, and I don't know what this. Well, I don't know what it is.
I play drums, so I just hang out with musicians, you know.
Exactly. So, but I don't know what it is about non-musicians.
And you're never on time, right? That's usually the joke, right?
No, I'm usually very punctual. This is very out of character for me. So,
but man, yeah, no, it's just so funny because I've had I got a couple friends that I do streaming games with, or just shooting the shit, and then I'll be like, hey, you guys like music, right? You have a favorite album? Why don't you come on and talk about it? They're like, no, we don't. I don't want to get into arguments and stuff like that. It's like,
what?
People could easily get together and talk movies, even if you don't like the movie, or even whatever it may be. People could have civil movie conversations, but for some reason, I'm having the weirdest luck and having the weirdest time trying to get just non-musicians on Music Book Club to talk some albums. I've had a few. I haven't had none. I've had a few, and they've all been wonderful. But I've reached out to some people, and they're like, "Nah, I don't want to talk. I don't want to. Sure, you could listen to my album, but I don't want to have to listen to your albums."
Well, that kind of. It could be. I don't know. I mean, it's easy to talk. I have the exact opposite problem because I'm a musician. I hang out with all these musicians, and I want to talk about movies. And they're like, I don't watch movies, you know. And so I'm like, okay, but it could be, the idea that a movie. I've always said this before. Movies are kind of, the best way to communicate the human condition. And the songs, they have metaphors and alternate meanings and stuff. It could get, you're basically that's basically like us analyzing poems and stuff, and that could be a little intimidating to some people. I don't know. That I'm just spitballing here what it could be.
You're right. That's a very good. Like if you were to tell me to go, I mean, not that I know.
Write an essay about the movie Heat versus write an essay about Cherry Color Funk from Cocteau Twins. It's like one of these requires you to put your thinking cap on, kind of.
Yeah,
I think that's strange that that so many of your music friends don't like watching movies. Like to me, it's a
just don't want to hear talking about it constantly.
I love talking about films. Films are beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, and it also could be a great source of inspiration. Like much like music, what somebody does with the camera. With the mood, with the music, like so many different elements have to come to place to create exactly the mood you want. Like there's some, so anytime you need, hey man, I'll talk movies.
Let's go. Yeah.
It's funny because I can't tell you how many times I've been talking to some like Betty backstage after some show, and I'm like just rambling off about some movie, and they'll be like, I don't really watch movies. I watch like Netflix sometimes. And it's just like, oh, okay, all right.
It's like I thought you had more I thought you had more culture than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a test. Like if you get down with movies, then yeah, we can hang out. But if you also get down with me talking over movies when we watch them, then that'll be cool too.
We're even better buds. Let me pause during the movie and ramble for a second, and then we'll go back. Yeah, no.
Oh my god.
Hell yeah. Well, let me say hi to chat before we introduce the albums for today. That's right. We're talking music, not movies. I mean, we almost just derailed there, but no, I'm kidding. That's this show should just be called Derailed, because there's how often we just start talking about other things. It's the best. Anyways, we got Call to Carl on the in the chat saying nice you got John, looking forward to this one. Think y'all are gonna hit it off well. We've already fucked backstage.
Yep. It's the best 3 minutes of my life. Oof.
That's as long as I could go.
More than I could ask for.
Christian Sass, how you doing? I don't think I've seen you here before. Welcome on in. We got
Christian's good follower on Rumble. Good man.
Hell yeah, good stuff. Good to see all your friends, all your peeps popping in here. Justin Reviews and Repairs. Hell yeah, Sophomore John trying to finish one more song. That's right. Backstage is like, just one more, guys, just one more.
Just one more.
Alrighty, and then we get the panels up in here, and Insidious Bliss. Oh no, severe weather, must be time. Insidious Bliss is my buddy here. We game, and we have another channel called the Company Boys, and every time I do book club on Wednesdays, I don't know if it's a Wednesday curse or a book club curse, but where he lives, he gets severe thunderstorms all the time. And the last 2 times he was supposed to be on, he couldn't make it because there's a tornado or fucking something going on. So that's what he's saying right here. He's like, severe weather, must be time for book club. Alrighty. Thank you, chat. Y'all are freaking legends. Thank you so much for hanging out. I do forget to always do this during book club. If you would like to support the channel, we have super chats via Stream Elements. Where is that? That will be pinned to the top of the chat right now. Alrighty, and that shilling's out of the way, so let's get right to the music. Let me pop it up. I'm gonna show off what we got. Got 3 awesome albums. Where are we? Here we go. Share that, show that. There it is. Alrighty, the first one is My Choice by a artist called Washed Out. The album called Within and Without. Let's see, the next album chosen by Mr. Sophomore John, this motherfucking album, Jellyfish, or Spilt Milk by Jellyfish. Very, very cool album. And where is the last one? And then this one, the Cocteau Twins.
Yeah, Cocteau, yeah. Like Cocteau from Demolition Man.
Who's Cocteau from Demolition Man?
The old guy, the bad guy who created the utopian empire. I think he's named after this band, if I'm mistaken.
Really?
I don't know.
Well, we'll say it is. Let's say it is. Hell yeah. Yeah. We usually do 4 albums, 4 people, but schedulings and all that. So we got 3 albums today, and we got 3 musicians. So the show's gonna run even longer than if we had 4 people. So I think the longest episodes I've had on Book Club were the music ones where I had nothing but musicians on. We ramble for fucking. Usually I do 30, 45 minutes per album or per movie, and like it started going an hour per album per movie. So. Hell yeah, these are the albums. Let me decide which one. I like to start with my choice first, so we'll start off with Washed Out, Within and Without. I chose this album purely based off of Stupenzo's choice. So his Heaven or Las Vegas, I heard that and I was like, oh, this sounds so just synth wavy and all that.
Were you surprised that I actually a big fan of Washed Out and I've heard all of his albums?
Not really. I was like, if you like this, then you should probably like this. But
I would say like Washed Out is probably one of the only like contemporary artists that I really like. I listen to all their stuff, and it's all heaters. Them and Always is another band I like a lot that is new. But this album is his like second or third album, first album.
I think this may have been his first studio release because he had a couple of EPs and all that. But I think this was like the first one, like the first full-length one. So if people don't know Washed Out, you may know them without knowing them, depending on if you've watched the show Portlandia. If anyone's watched Portlandia, that's exactly how I discovered this band. I'm a semi-fan of sketch comedy shows. I used to like this SNL people. Fred Armisen was a pretty funny guy. Or still is. He still does some pretty funny stuff. But I used to watch that show, and man, every time that theme song and that intro came on, I got chills from it. I was just like, this just makes me feel like, I don't know, I want to go cruise through the city and just, I don't know, get stoned, man. It was freaking, oh man, I really enjoyed that track. And unfortunately, I couldn't choose the album that track is on because that's an EP, and I specifically say albums, full releases, that kind of stuff. So I ended up choosing their first full-length album, which was this one. And to me, I love this album all the way through. I think the second half of the album is way stronger. Like some of my favorite tracks are on the end of the album, which I always appreciate. I'd rather have a slow start to an album and a strong finish than a strong start to an album and a slow finish.
Oh yeah. The worst is when you buy an album because that one cool song is on it, and like it's a bunch of misses on there.
Oh yeah. We've all been there. Oh, the good old days of needing to purchase a CD,
right,
and hoping for the best. Here's $20. I really like that one song.
They would give you the little listening thing that you could like listen to like 1 second of like 5 seconds of one song, and
then you end up spending $20 on Chumbawamba.
Washed Out is just super chill music. I love chill music, but it's just, like best way to describe Washed Out is like nostalgia for a time that never existed. It's
nostalgia for like the 80s, because it has a very 80s like a mix, like it's been mixed in the 80s. It sounds
like perfected, it's like they it reminds me of like Budo's band, like their Afrobeat band, and you hear it and you're like, this sounds like it's straight from like Africa 1970s, and then you realize like, oh, these are a bunch of like white dudes from like the late 2000s. And that it just sounds so like perfected, and this Washed Out stuff, it's just really washy obviously, but also I just love his lyrics, how the way he sings, it's all like long sustained whole notes. His lyrics are very like, there's not a lot of syllables, and he stretches them out over several bars.
Yes,
I like
really,
a mantra.
I really like fell in love with this artist, with this kind of style. Like when did this come out? Released on 2011.
2011, 11.
Damn, it's been like, sometimes it feels like I've only been listening to an artist for like maybe 5 years, and then you see a date like that and you go, holy shit, I've been listening to this for a decade already. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's nuts. Yeah, so I fell in love with this as soon as I heard this song from the theme song to Portlandia, and ever since then, yeah, I've just been I got really got into chill music right around 2010, so that actually makes perfect sense, the timing. And yes, like pretty much all of the 2010s, I like barely listened to anything with a guitar in it. It was mostly like ambient music or stuff like this, and so I don't even know how else to put it. So let's see this. I'm just reading off of Wikipedia. Sub pop. That's not what the genre is. The genre is freaking. Oh yeah, chillwave. Never mind. That's the label.
Sub pop is the label. Yeah.
Yeah. My bad. Chillwave synth pop. There we go. Yeah, man. I just fell in love with it. The album, the next few albums that they even came out with, I like stuck around like a freaking bee and honey, man. But
Yeah.
let me see. Yeah, like as far as like, I was saying, the tracks. Yeah, the second half of the album to me is just like where it's all at. Like the first couple songs. The first song I love the opening, and then I think like the 3 songs after that, I'm like, they're good, but let's get to the good stuff. And once we get to like track number 6, Before, and then You and I, and Within, Without, like those tracks to me just they like take me back to like the summer of freaking 2012 or something. Like takes me back 10 years ago, and
carefree kind of good times. There's no bad vibes here.
Right.
In these songs, even like some of the sadder songs, like they don't sound very sad, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I love these like his early stuff because like his music videos were very they're very like if this album was released in the 80s, it would have done great. If it was released in the 90s, also it would have done great. You know, like it was released in the early 2000s, it would have done great. It's just one of those things where it's like a hit's a hit is a hit. But like, I love these early music videos because they all have this like low budget indie film vibe.
I don't think I've ever seen a single music video by him. I've only been listening.
Yeah, like Amor Fati's got a good one where the guy's like just like on a road trip. He's like in a passenger seat. He's like in Iceland or something. Like it looks like he's touring some kind of countryside.
Hell yeah!
It seems like a simple. I mean, that's the idea. It's like you're on vacation kind of thing. Is what it's. That's why I love his his one album was called Life of Leisure. Like that's a great name because that's exactly what you feel like when you're listening to this stuff. You know,
I
keeps your blood pressure down. You know, like,
yeah, no, definitely. This is also, yeah, to note, around 2010, I think is around when I finally started like regularly smoking pot. All this
it all makes sense.
It all comes together. But Sophomore John and I were talking about some of this synthwave stuff, and he's not a big fan. So let me hear from him for a little bit.
Well, this was the first time I've heard this artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely agree with you. The album starts off really, really slow, and I actually felt that Soft, the song, that's song number 5, is kind of the turning point of the record.
Yeah, that's actually
like it's not the breaking point, but it's the turning point, like almost like a new chapter in a book, so to speak.
For sure.
And the thing that I noticed most about the song, the record itself, is because I'm a big melody guy. Mm-hmm. So for me, it felt like there was a lot of buildup and no satisfaction. So I like a good chorus. For me, like or a good bridge, a good chorus, something to really. That's what really pulls me into the music.
Right.
I will say that there was a moment on You and I when he brought the I guess it's a female vocalist or what, when she came in, and that completely changed the song, and I was like, okay, wow, okay, now I'm hooked. Like I finally feel like I got a payoff on that. And
right on.
You and I is definitely one of the bigger songs that I've heard on a lot of like compilation albums, like just random chill wave mixes. Like That song, it's got that weird sound. But yeah, with electronic music, you don't usually get choruses. You're lucky if you get a chorus kind of thing, because it's usually like layers. Like, there's like a beat, a backbeat. There'll be like layers here, and then the chorus will just be like more layers on top of it, and he'll change like the melody of what he's singing. Usually is what is typical with washed out or electronic stuff.
Yeah, see, on this album, I didn't like. I felt like he was almost always in the same key, so like
I could hear that.
It didn't feel like there was a variation of, and that's another thing. Like, and again, I've never been into synth music. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the '80s. I listened, like I was telling Paul, I listened to Howard Jones was a big listen for me and my mom growing up.
Right.
But as the genre kind of progressed, it was just never something that I got into.
Yeah, it's definitely not complicated music. It's not, And
I also was I was also touring a lot late at that time. So when this music was kind of starting to bubble up on the underground, I was nowhere. I was in a van with 5 other guys in the middle of Texas in the summer. Cooking hot dogs on the radio. Cooking hot dogs on the radio.
I've been there before for sure.
But so for me, again, even though it's not my thing, like, and I was telling Paul before we started, like, I'm always trying to find things that I really like that I thought was unique. So one of the things that I noticed that he does a lot of vocal overlays. So he'll have like one kind of saying that comes in and out, and then he's rapping that with another set of lyrics or vocals. I also, by the way, I didn't read any lyrics to any of the songs. For me, I like to go. I want to have my own emotion towards the music.
I hear you.
Without being told, maybe specifically what it's about. So, and that's kind of a me thing. But some things that I wanted to point out, if that's okay, real quick. I thought Soft. I really liked the melody. There's a very light melody variations that I really liked. And then it's like the first time you really hear any kind of like drum machine or anything. And that's, like I said, that's where I felt like, because I took notes on all these songs. So this was important to me.
For sure.
Some of the notes that I had for Far Away. I really liked the buildup of the song, and so it made me want more. And especially like the light. So the first time you have these like really light violins, and then when he stops singing, the violins really just kind of kick in.
Yeah, and
I love that. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. And then it goes back down, and it's very subtle. And he doesn't do that again. So again, I was getting
you're getting cock teased throughout the whole album.
Oh yeah, super. And then for some reason, it reminded me of like later Radiohead, like
okay
Computer, Kid A. Like there is a, and maybe it was the how he recorded the audio or the sound of the audio that kind of did that for me.
Right on. Yeah.
So that was some. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying. I definitely I know what you're talking about. I'm right with you. I agree with I could relate to everything you're saying for sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. So and then before, I like the strings on the intro. Once the vocals kick in, like together, added this really sexy heaviness to it. Right, yeah. where it's everything so far has been fairly relaxed, but this is a different kind of heavy. It felt really nice, especially with the lighter vocals. And I think I'm assuming later on in the song some cellos come in. At least that's what it sounded like to me. I could be wrong on the stringed instruments because I'm not perfect about that.
Right.
I mean, if it is, I'm pretty sure it's a sample.
Most likely, but that layered with the drum machine also just had a nice hit to it. And it felt like it was we took me on a different place in the record, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like when I was in my old band Toast. We were like prog rock, we were like hippie jam band, prog rock music for other musicians, like to impress other musicians, playing in like crazy time signatures and keys and just shredding. And we'd always get like people liked us, but they would just kind of like like, oh, these guys are good. Then we kind of started like a Jamiroquai like tribute band.
Those guys are great, man.
Yeah, and it was just so funny because like just going and playing just straight up 4 on the floor disco beats and just watching crowds go crazy, dude. Like people dancing their balls off to that stuff. And it was like, man, sometimes less is more with these, like with popularity, like, and it kind of comes back to that whole, like, earlier we were talking about how like music can kind of be intimidating to, layman's. When you start getting real like crazy with it with the theory and stuff, and it's like Washed Out's like a great example because they're so popular, especially right now. Like like if this album's I think their best album is Paracosm, which was like the second to last album.
It was the one it was the one after this, and I almost chose that one, but then I listened to the latter half of this album, and I'm like, oh god, the songs on the end of this album are so good. I'm choosing this one.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I really like Paracosm a lot too. That one's really good. Yeah,
it's one of those things where it kind of also reminds me of this guys I used to hang out with called Spank. I still hang out with them, but they started out as a metal band, and then they started taking a bunch of LSD, and they gradually became a funk band. So that's just how it works. You start going to Funky Town more,
Funk always wins, man. I'm a believer of the funk will always prevail because that's kind of my favorite genre of metal, is the one that is the most funkiest, which to me is like the 90s new metal, had like so much funk, with Primus, Rage Against the Machine, so much slat bass was thrown in, and
Infectious Grooves needs to be up on that list.
Yeah.
Those guys fucking rip. Excuse my language, but like those guys, like they're not one of my favorite bands in the world, but I will sit down and listen to Groove Family Psycho any day. Like, yeah, you can put that on. I'm good with. I will totally. I love it. It's brilliant.
Hell yeah! Oh man. Well, this album is also pretty funky with all the drum beats and the bass lines. The mix, quick talk about the mix, how it sounds super 80s and stuff. Like trying to listen to this in the car sometimes, that bass just starts overpowering, and I like it. I'm not even mad at that. There's other like trip hop art, like a lot of trip hop, like Portishead also has mixes that sound a little more 90s, but just that like once a bass starts playing, a sampled bass or whatever the hell it is, it just starts vibrating so heavily in the car that so be warned if you're listening to this on some heavy bass stuff, it might shake some walls.
I listened to the first half of the album in the car, so it wasn't until I got home that's when everything started kicking in.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm driving, taking notes, like, this is what I'm saying. But speaking of mixes, and actually, I've got two more notes for songs that actually kind of go into that. So, Within and Without You, and it's either the way he did the mix, but a recording, I've done it before, so it reminded me of that. But it sounds like he was in a huge long hallway, and he put a microphone on one end and sang at the other to get this really great vibe that I really enjoy. I really liked that. I thought it was maybe it was layered. Maybe it could have been special effects for all I know. Most likely it was, but it was well done that I couldn't tell if it was fake or real. So I appreciate that. Like, at least he put in the work to really play with people. And then on the last song, I really enjoyed, and I would have been fine if all that last song was the piano and his vocals. Yeah. And then I liked the almost vinyl record hissing to it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was artistically, I thought it was a brilliant little touch.
Yeah.
That felt like it felt like it was a nice closing. Once like the keys and the drum machine kind of came in, it felt, especially after the next part where he's singing, it kind of really felt like it drowned everything out. And I kind of lost that immersion, where I would have been okay with this very just way to. I'm 50-50 on slow songs being on the last song on the album, but in this case, something like that actually would have been a nice bookend to me. But that's just me.
No, I agree. Yeah, I could see that.
In fact, his music has been described as drowsy before, like, usually in a good way, though. But I mean, what's interesting about him, I'm reading right now, is he went to Georgia, University of Georgia, got a master's in library and information science, and then couldn't get a job as a librarian. So he moved back to his mom's house or his parents' house and started just producing music in his bedroom. So I mean, just the idea that, like, I mean, the thing is, the guy is just doing kind of everything all by himself. That's the thing, is Washed Out is like a guy. His name's Ernest.
His name's Ernest.
Ernest.
Yeah, Ernest Weatherly Green Jr. Oh god, I'm sure his parents were rich as hell though too.
Right.
Ernest goes home.
Yeah.
Ernest makes some new wave.
Yeah. Ernest
and what was funny when I was doing some research too, I found I guess he was on tour in Australia when he saw the photo for this cover that they used for the cover, and when they licensed it out, they didn't get the exclusive rights to it. So like a month later, the same photo is on the cover of Cosmo. And I think the cover was like, "Is this the best sexual position or the most comfortable?"
Yeah,
and he got really upset because, like, that's not what this. He said that's not what this record was about, or even close to it. But again, without seeing the lyrics, and again, I'm kind of okay with that. That's my process. I like to go back after I have all the musical cues that I like, and then the lyrics kind of.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Even bigger picture.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Absolutely.
But I felt bad I'm like, damn, that sucks, man.
Yeah. I'm actually on the Wikipedia page right now. The cover
is it on the Wikipedia too?
Yeah, okay. It's like the second paragraph for this album. It's talking about how Cosmo used that, licensed the image,
Crazy.
and then
so if you're a super fan, go get that issue of Cosmo.
There you go. Or get this album on vinyl, and then there you go. It's almost the same size as an issue of Cosmo. I actually do have this on vinyl. This is a great. I like.
Currently, it's $24.99 on Amazon.
Nice.
Free shipping.
Hell yeah. Plus shipping.
I like
good
Christian.
stuff.
Christian's right. It looks like was Head Out. It's like, oh, they seem. I love that band. Was Head Out. They're great.
Too funny. Alrighty. Let me see here. Is there anything else?
Do you guys have a favorite song off this album? I ask because, and maybe more specifically, at least for me, like your favorite song and why. Like, because I like to know the inner workings. Yeah.
I too. I like that. I like to ask people that too. I do have a favorite. I can't remember. I think it may be Before. Is Before the one with that like delayed sounding? Hold on. Yeah, that like.
Wacky.
Yeah, wacky. Yeah.
Is that girl just like wacky? Just going.
Yeah. That weird fucking. Yeah. That the sample.
It's got the great strings and vocals. Like
something about that track. Just the way it just does that. The intro kind of drags out. Already the intro I'm interested, but then the beat comes in, that "ai" thing comes in, and then just Before I'm like, oh, fly away. It's so good. Before, and like I said, oh man, it's hard because I also really like You and I. But I think I'd have to pick Before as the best one for me.
I probably go with Soft because even if it's a chill song, you feel like you're driving like 60 miles an hour. Listen to it,
Hell yeah!
Just like on the freeway, because it's got that. It's the first one that really just kind of starts like It's got that tempo, you know.
Yeah.
It just kicks you in the face immediately, like right there. Yeah. Right out the bat.
What about you, John? Do you have a favorite track?
Yeah, man, that girl singing at the end of You and I just.
You and I.
Yeah, it just sold. And I'm sure that's a lot of people's favorite song. It makes sense, but for me at least, it's a great song. It's got these great 80s vibes, the revolving vocals and the layered effect that he had on that song. It works really well with the bass line that he's got going on.
Yeah,
and these are just like, some of my notes, and then having her come in and do what she did, which almost felt like the complete opposite of everything on this record, but it was melodic and it was sweet and
that little thing. She's just like saying something and
right. I don't know what she's singing. I don't care. The melody, it just got me, and I was like, yeah, that's all of those elements mixed together. Just made that like probably my favorite song there. So
right on. Well, you know what? It because you were saying backstage, you're like, oh, I'm not a big fan, but you said a lot of positive things about this album, which makes me happy because,
it's striking that balance, right? Like this is definitely not my cup of tea, but and we're all musicians here. Like if we can hear different ideas that we like and can incorporate that cool ideas into our music, like then that's we would be stupid not to do that.
Absolutely. I fully agree.
And this was definitely the hardest record to do out of the two, I guess you could say.
Okay, right on.
For me, because I think the last time that I listened to anything that was remotely
synth
anywhere
poppy.
well, not even synth pop, anywhere near this genre would have been Symbols by KMFDM.
Okay.
Oh wow.
So we're talking what mid to late 90s.
John Jezebel. No.
Right on. Yeah, no, I get it. We all go through. We all like our flavors of ice cream. We all go through different phases where we like different flavors of ice. Like I said, during the 2010s, I almost totally gave up on any sort of rock, metal, anything with a guitar. I almost listened to almost exclusively electronic music for the whole 2010s. Mm-hmm. And people and now I'm back to rock and playing in band again and playing guitar again and all that stuff, and I definitely drew a lot of inspiration from all those the ambient music and the synth pop stuff, and I even got myself a MIDI keyboard, so I'm like, I'm gonna start adding that to my band and all that stuff. I did recently, if you the music you're hearing kind of in the background right now was a lot of the inspiration for music with making music with a keyboard. I didn't really do that before, mess around with MIDIs and stuff like that. So that really inspired me to mess around and add piano parts, add synthesizers, add all these different layers to just make music sound more fun. I don't know. It's I'm a big fan of synths and all that, and
I'll make my way back up. I my because new music sucks so bad. Yes. I'm actually now going back to the music I didn't like when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I'm going back. I'm going back to late 60s and 70s stuff that I didn't enjoy listening to as a kid. And
dude, I'm loving yacht rock right now. Unironically.
I cannot wait to get into some yacht rock. I tell you what, my friend, that's coming. That's coming right now. I'm going through all the bands that I'll just never, like Led Zeppelin, which I still have heavy feelings on, but I mean, but stuff that I didn't actually sit down and listen to the records as a kid or when I was a teenager and going, okay, well, music sucks now, but there's a plethora of really good music that I just said F you to. Yeah. Let's go back and let's go hang out with those guys and let's see what I can how far I can dig down this rabbit hole. Okay, well, I like this. What's some of their inspirations, and then dive down that rabbit hole that way.
Yeah, it's funny. The same thing happened with me. Like, music's so bad that I went back to listen to stuff I didn't like. It got to me. What happened was it was rap music. I hated today's rap music. This mumble stuff made me so mad that I ended up going back to old hip hop, which, in hindsight, is, to me, I now love old school hip hop. You know, like I like today, like, and I remember back then, I'm like, no man, rap and all that stupid. You got to play instruments, otherwise you ain't cool. And then, you know, 20 years later happens. Now we got mumble rappers just going Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, and I'm like, oh my god, the guys back then, the Tribe Called Quests of the world, and the
they'd have murdered these guys.
They would have murdered them with the the intelligence level. That's what I really appreciate about
that video of Snoop Dogg talking about, like, I don't know who started this triplet rap shit.
Mingos or Future.
You know, that kind of rap. It's like, everyone does it now.
Yeah, even I even shit all over Eminem for, you know, leaning into that.
Is he doing that now?
He has been. He's guilty of doing some of those hubba stuff.
What
I love about rap is how hilarious it is. Like, it's like both ironically and non-ironically funny. Like, everything they're talking about is like, good God, these lyrics are hilarious.
You know what? There are some like old school rap, like I think like NWA, where they're just talking about, like, I don't know, like, fucking you bitch and all that, and I'm like dying laughing at this stuff. But then
9 is so funny, and it's like the lyrics are scary, but it's like when you just listen to this, it's so funny, dude. You're like, God, I can't believe this is a song.
Yeah.
Well, I did because again, I'm not a rap fan at all, but I did. I'll buy rap records if they're culturally important, like if they made an impact on the industry, right? So NWA, you know, straight out of Compton would be one of those. The Chronic, the Dr. Dre, is one that I feel is very culturally important, especially Dre bringing in melody to rap, which wasn't a thing then. But I grabbed the Doghouse. Yeah. Doghouse by Snoop Dogg, right? And I'm growing up, and Snoop Dogg's all over MTV. You know, that was a huge video for the time, you know. And that was a fun record to listen to. It's not my favorite in the world, but I didn't hate it. I think maybe, and I could be wrong, but for me, I really felt like rap kind of hit a brick wall, I think, after that third Eminem record. So after Marshall Mathers, which is a phenomenal. I don't like rap. That's a phenomenal freaking record, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that might be the height of Eminem. But that next album, Encore, was it Encore?
Yeah.
And that's still a great record.
It is, but I started dropping off. Yeah, even paying attention to Eminem back then. Yeah, Encore was like around Encore. That was like with the red curtain, right? Because he did one that had a blue curtain, and I can't remember which one was Curtain Call and Encore, but I think the height to me of good rap was that Marshall Mathers LP was. It's just a brilliant record. I think that was the second.
Oh, whoops! The second LP where he liked booty music. I just like how you know, rap music is it's funny because, like, you're saying, like, once Eminem showed up, it's like all these rappers had to step up the game. Took a white dude showing up, just like Vanilla Ice again.
Right. And now it's just me.
Whoops! I don't know what happened. It looks like John also got kicked out, or not John. Looks like Enzo got kicked out as well.
All right, we're waiting for, and he was in the middle of a really good, very informative. I was interested in what he has to say. I hope he doesn't forget it.
Whoops! Yeah, no, that was weird. It kicked me out too. That was weird. Sorry, folks. Oh, here he comes.
What happened there?
All right. Yeah, I have no. It kicked me out too. That was weird. Is the stream still alive? Okay, everyone's.
Looks like it.
Stream's still alive.
Okay.
Alrighty. All right, we're back. Alrighty. What were
Nothing
we
is
saying?
stuck here, dude.
Right before I was getting kicked out, I was saying that there was two peaks to hip hop. I think late 80s, early 90s, when like NWA and Tribe Called Quest. I think people are sleeping on Tribe Called Quest. I think they may have been like one of the best hip hop groups of all time. So when they were making records like in the early 90s, I think that was also, pretty height of like I'd say Eminem coming back brought that hype back up. But yeah, the original like hype of like the late 80s, early 90s hip hop, I think there was really a lot of wonderful stuff going on, like you said, the Chronic and NWA,
Right.
and then a little lesser known artists like Tribe Called Quest, which I can't wait to do like a hip hop book club, because I'm dying to talk about Tribe Called Quest. They're like my favorite hip hop group of all time.
Well, and then you had in the late 80s, early 90s, well, mostly the late 90s, but then you had like Public Enemy teaming up with Anthrax, right? You had the original rap rock, and then you had what's his name doing Body Count.
Oh yeah,
with
Ice-T.
Right, and so to get very cultural relevant records, regardless of how I feel about the genre, it's important. That Body Count record's really important because that's him with a live band.
Yeah.
It's not just a team up with Public Enemy. It's like he's doing the rap rock stuff.
Yeah.
It might not have been the best musically, right? But he just told all those guys to F off. He's gonna do his own thing. I respect that. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's funny is I played drums with a lot of rap groups because usually they have, rap songs, samples and stuff, but when they go on tour, it's like sometimes they think, it's visually more interesting to have a band, so they'll have like a backing band like learn these like samples and stuff, and sing and play them and stuff. It's pretty wild.
Well, in the video game Rock Band, Snoop Dogg re-recorded 6 songs with a full-on band.
Oh shit!
And they are absolutely on fire. Like, they are, with the exception of like Drop It Like It's Hot. It's pretty empty because that's just a very empty song.
Yeah.
But some of his older stuff with a full-on band, it's awesome. And like he got good guitar players, so they're like ripping, like they're ripping through What's My Name, busting out solos, and it's like, yeah, this is, and it adds a totally different flavor. So highly recommend checking those out just for the fun of it.
Hell yeah. That is awesome. Alrighty. Well, I think anybody have any we were still talking, or the last album we had on before we got kicked out was Washed Out. Any last thoughts on Washed Out before we move on to the next album?
No, check out Paracosm. That's a good album after this, and some wild, some cool, chill stuff.
Yeah, if you're feeling oozy and just want to hang out, smoke a joint, and go for a cruise, pop on some Washed Out, man. It's definitely nice and laid back. Alrighty, let's go on with the next album. Let's pull it up again here. I'm still like what the hell happened? Why did I get kicked out of StreamYards? Alrighty, let's do this one. Jellyfish, chosen by Sophomore John over here. What a fucking record, man. That's all I gotta say. What made you choose this record? And yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's one of my top 5 favorite albums of all time.
Okay.
I think it's just a brilliant record musically. Each song is its own journey, right? Each song is different and can kind of be set aside on its own, yet I think it works well together as a whole record.
Oh yeah.
And they were the first concert I ever saw. I saw them at a Radisson hotel, I think.
Really?
Yeah. I would say a show, actually, because concerts are like big, like a month and a half later I went and saw Aerosmith, but
okay.
For my first like big concert. But yeah, I saw them. They were doing a solo tour by themselves, and back around that period of time, 92, it wasn't uncommon for bands to play at hotels. It was still, I don't know, I guess okay, I guess.
Right.
But the sheer musicianship and the brilliance of Andy Strummer and Roger Manning, I absolutely love. Plus, the singer is a drummer, and he actually stands up while he plays.
Really?
That's weird. See, I sing and play drums all the time, but like standing up and playing is strange. Yeah, that's weird.
It's crazy, especially because he's right up front and center, and he's got his whole drum kit, and he's just boom ba singing.
Damn.
Curtains open, spotlights the gentleman. And they sound just as good live. Like they were able to, as much as possible, replicate what they did in the studio live, especially with the vocals. The vocals were, I mean, you go back on YouTube, you can find videos of them playing live, like in Germany and Japan, and you don't see bands doing that now. Nowadays, bands would have pre-programmed background vocals.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these guys actually knew what to do.
You don't see too many bands nowadays, period. Like bands are just taking the wayside,
Oh yeah, for sure. But real quick to what you were saying about sounding live like you do, or sounding, the way you sound on the record is the way you sound live. That to me was like the most important thing, at least for me and like what I wanted to do with my band. Like I hated the idea of having a record and then sounding totally different live. So and I like there have been these bands in my head that have always fallen into that category. I remember back in the day, System of a Down used to be notoriously not bad, but like because they layered, specifically Darren the guitarist would layer so many guitars on the record, especially later records, that they just couldn't play all those guitar parts live. That made System of a Down sound just a little off while playing live. But even worse, or even more egregious than System of a Down is Deftones. Those guys can just not play their song fucking live the way it's supposed to be played. This has been like this for decades.
Well, it's funny because like Deftones is not like particularly, because Cocteau Twins is guilty of that. But when you hear that stuff, it's it's like 2-3 people doing all that layers, so they had to like hire extra musicians to come on to try to replicate it. But it's a lot of like weird effects and stuff. But like Deftones, like nothing really that like difficult to play is on a lot of Deftones songs.
And mainly I have to blame the singer Chino for just like sing the song the way it's supposed to be sang, because I want to sing with you, buddy. I'm here to enjoy this, and he wants to go a half he'll wait, he'll do it in the wrong timing. He'll still sing the melody right, but like place it slightly different, or just do variations of it. I'm like, I see what you're trying to do here, and whatever. But we're all
on your toes.
Yeah, I want to keep you on your toes. No, motherfucker, I want to sing with you, and by you singing differently is ruining my whole fucking vibe of enjoying this show. I left Deftones early to fucking beat the traffic, because I already got to see Gojira that day. So I'm like, you know what? Gojira blew fucking Deftones out of the water.
Yeah. Do you mind if I go on a quick little side story? Okay.
Yeah, you look like you're dying to say something.
Yes. Okay. So and Paul, you and I have obviously just met, and when I was on Carl's show, we didn't get anywhere near to the stuff that he wanted to talk about, and this probably would have come up.
Okay.
So, I grew up in Sacramento. Sacramento music scene.
Oh no.
One of my earliest and most successful bands recorded our first EP at EME Studios in downtown Sacramento, where the Deftones recorded all their demos with the same producer, Matt Eric. They also shot the video for their first single. Oh man,
Born?
I'm totally thinking. Yeah. So that video in that building, that's where. Yeah. Matt Eric is a fantastic producer. we listened. He was so nice. He even played us some of those old Deftones. And they were fucking terrible. You see, the thing is that Chino can't sing.
Yeah.
He's never been able to. Ever. Like, ever. And I've seen them so many times before they got big in the Sacramento music scene. I saw them when they were big. They can't replicate the heaviness. You can't hear. It just sounds like a wall of shit sound.
Yes.
The other thing is that a lot of people don't know, and I highly recommend. This was actually one of the records that was on my possible to pick list. There's a band in Sacramento called Far, and this particular record I would recommend listening to is Water and Solutions, because basically when the Deftones did White Pony, they ripped off Far.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Far was the original kind of like that kind of Sacramento sound, and they were actually signed to, I think it's Immortal same label that Korn got signed.
Okay.
They released records around the same time, and the label decided to go with Korn and not Far.
Oh.
And so they did one more record on the label, and it got a little. But you can hear a lot of White Pony in their current sound based just off that one record.
Which is funny because that's the record that Deftones made a huge shift from sound. You know, they suddenly went from this.
It's also their most popular sound album by far.
Yeah, it's the most popular album. The previous albums had more of a nu metal feel to it, and then this album suddenly started getting more electronic,
industrial.
Almost industrial. Yes, exactly. Almost industrial, where there's like more synth sounds.
But the rhythm, the kind of head back and forth, kind of rhythm. That's all Sacramento. That's all Far. It's all Far sound.
Oh shit!
And if you dig into the Sacramento music scene, you'll see that there was a lot of bands. Because before the Deftones, the biggest band out of Sacramento was Tesla.
Okay.
And then right around the same time that Deftones started getting big, Cake, the band Cake, was also from Sacramento. They're actually like the most hated Sacramento band that's big.
Cake was the most hated?
Why? 'Cause they're the most popular out of all of them?
No, because John's a dick. The singer is a dick, and then like they played the KWOD 106.5 Christmas show at Arco Arena, big arena, lots of bands, Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish, awesome show, right? As soon as they came on stage, almost everyone started throwing pennies at them.
What the
That's
fuck?
So fucking weird. I saw Cake at ACL one year, and they were like, the singer started making fun of because the size of the crowd. ACL sucks, by the way. It's like there's so many bands playing at once, and there's like this huge crowds, and there's like this gigantic crowd, and he's like, all y'all like way back there, like, why are you here? Like, why are you listening? You're like a mile away. Like, go listen to someone else. It's fucking funny.
Hilarious.
But yeah, I always liked Cake's intro music to that show, Mission Hill. I was like, oh yeah, that's Cake. They got that almost like ska sound with the horns and stuff.
I like Cake. Cake's pretty badass.
Yeah, I've always been I like what I like from them, and what I don't like, I really just don't like.
They do start sounding a lot of the songs do start sounding like the same.
Yeah. I probably could only name the singles and stuff like that. I probably couldn't name you anything.
Long Jacket. Right,
yeah.
yeah, that's a great one. My favorite one it's probably my all-time favorite, and it's off their first album. It's called Rock and Roll Lifestyle. It's a fantastic song. So that got a lot of play in Sacramento, but I don't know that it got any kind of play outside of Sacramento. But it's a great song. Highly recommend just jamming out to that. It's just a fun song. But anyways, I didn't mean to take us out on that detour.
No, I like tangents.
It
was just it was one of those tangents where like I actually have heard all that.
The Deftones speak and all that. Yeah. And it's funny because
it's never gonna change.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I grew up listening to Deftones a lot and all that, and even I knew like right away. I'm like, yeah, these guys are only listen to albums. They're a studio band by like at best.
Yeah, I mean, at least Papa Roach you could go see, and it's a lot better. And I'm not saying by much. And I like Jacoby. He was a nice guy, but they were terrible too. Oh my God! And they're not even from Sacramento, even though everyone says they're from Vacaville. And nobody liked Vacaville. Like yeah. And that's just my experience.
Well, the Spilt Milk album, I liked it. The thing about it is like it reminded me of what I was saying earlier. Like when you make music for other musicians, like I wasn't surprised to read that. I was surprised to read that they only had 2 albums. This was their second and final album. Yeah, and they broke up shortly after this because they just didn't do good record sales because of the grunge movement at the time. They were definitely doing something different at the time. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where you play music to kind of impress like weirdos like John and myself. And the average person is like, this is a little out there. But I was listening to this and just immediately thought of like Queen, XTC. XTC was huge in there. What I was thinking what it sounded like, and then also like elements of like barbershop quartet and maybe even some Ween in there. It was like and you could tell I could tell right away when I was hearing this. It's like, okay, these guys are like real good musicians. Like I could tell like all their harmonies are like they could do that shit on stage. Like you just tell,
Yeah. No, for sure. I fully agree. This is a musician's band, absolutely.
The first record's a little bit, I guess, would be a more popular record, right? It's very easy, but I think there are some songs on this record that you could play. You could play like
they're catchy tunes.
New Mistake, right? New Mistake is or Joining a Fan Club. I think they're pretty rock and roll songs that when people hear them, at least when I played this on my show, like this was a band that people didn't say, "Oh, we don't like this." Like people are like, "Whoa, where has this been?"
Yeah.
And maybe that's because of the deprived music scene that we are living in right now, where it's like a record like this might have a better chance now if you were to sit down with some of your non-music friend, like non-super music friends, and go, "Hey, let's it's summertime. These guys got a little bit of Beach Boys vibes too, right? With the melodies, and like you were saying, XTC, very power pop." And I always tell people, listen, if you like Queen and the Beatles with a little bit of psychedelica, like this band hits all with great melody. This record hits all those, like every single one of them.
Yeah.
And it's not too weird. It's just the right amount of weird, Yeah. I like weird. But what's also interesting is like you have, I gotta say, this album art, I'm just now noticing it looks like it does say Jelly-ish. Because you're missing a letter. But
I see the fesh. I see the F.
Yeah.
The Y and the F is one.
The Y and the F is one.
I gotcha. But I was saying, I mean, it's not like this is this music's not too out there, but it would be like if you told me to like, hey, play some of these songs, I'd be like, okay, I gotta practice them. Like these are not, especially if you're talking about singing them as well. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Like these would be a challenge to learn and play. Even though it's not like technical, it would be like it wouldn't be too like rudiments or anything like that. Just like it's just these songs have parts and movements, and it'd be you'd have to take notes. You'd have to have like the charts out for them to really nail them, and it's I appreciate that kind of stuff because a lot of music like Washed Out, for instance, like. Washed Out's the kind of music where it's like, dude, I should be a DJ. Like I hear that stuff and it's like, dude, I could do this shit. Like why am I splitting these payouts with 5 other dudes? When I could just like take my laptop and just, play real chill music on stage and get paid all of it at once,
Right. Facts.
This stuff is like, oh, we need like 3 more members. We need like 9 people to pull this stuff off, I guess. Like,
right. And they only had 4. Wow. When they played live, they did all this with 4 people, which is brilliant. And like what I was telling Paul earlier, this record was recorded at 10 different studios in LA.
Yeah,
So the fact that they were able
to record it piece by piece, you're like fundraising,
right, but the fact that they were able to keep it so together, like it sounds like it was just in one studio and they just got all these great freaking sounds. Like it's a good. First off, in 1992, this is a hell of a good mix and a great producer. Like I would put this record up against any record now as far as audio quality, because you hear, even on CD, you hear all the important parts and the ingredients, and I just don't think you get that anymore with records or with albums. Like
I think the art of album making, like recorded music, I think really peaked just before the digital age came. Like the early 90s, I honestly think have some of the best mixed albums that to this day I'm like, oh my god, like ever since they went digital, like I don't know, something about tape makes, not that the tape itself makes the sound better, it makes everyone need like hey, we only got so much tape. The record producers are like, we only got so much tape. We better get the fucking best take. We better, there's no going in and digitally altering anything. So they like,
there's no like, alternate takes all day, as many takes as you want.
Nope. Yeah.
I'm reading about how these guys had to practice 8 hours a day, 6 days a week to write the songs. And then they spent 12 weeks rehearsing the tour for the Belly Button tour. It's like these guys put in the hours, which is bittersweet because fucking Nirvana shows up and they kill it, and it's like you put all that time and effort into it and it doesn't really click with the mainstream as much as you'd want to. It's not a moneymaker, and this is back in the days when your album sales and tours were secondary making money, and album sales were like the primary way to make money.
Right. Well, at least for the studio, at least, to get the money back from the artist.
Yeah, you make one music video, and that gets people interested in buying the album. And if enough people buy the album, then you can go on a successful tour and make more money.
There you go.
If the album's really successful, put a song on a commercial or something.
Yep.
Those days are long behind us. But now tour is like the primary way to make money.
It's the only way.
Well, and then everything's so expensive too. But also, this was produced by the gentleman who did the Bee Gees records.
You know what?
Well, that's the joy of recording in towns like L.A. or Austin. We had a Grammy Award engineer, Stu Sullivan. Helped put together our second band album, Mad Science, and it's like, it's like this guy just had some random studio on Lamar Boulevard, and it's like, dude, this guy's worked for fucking Santana and a bunch of people. You're like, okay, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But you would go out on tour and that's how you'd, and I mean that's still what it is now, but the problem is that they're charging so much.
Yeah.
There's less places to play, and the merchandise. So the wife and I went and saw Everclear last year, and
father of mine,
$50 for a t-shirt.
Dude, I know.
Yeah. For a t-shirt.
And I'm sure the t-shirt just says fucking Everclear on it and a dumb logo, right? Is it like a crazy graphic tee with a fucking awesome illustration?
No. But here's the other thing too that these bands are doing on tour is that they are requiring the opening acts to sell merch at exactly the same price.
Yes.
So that way people can't go to the opening act and buy
their merch for cheaper.
Their merch. Which at the show I was just like, there's a band called the Pink Spiders, a great pop.
I know the Pink Spiders
band. Their new album's fantastic. If you haven't heard it, by the way. But my kids, I have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. It's one of their favorite records to listen to. They absolutely love it. They dance around the house all day to it. But I'm not going to pay $50 for a vinyl. I mean, I'll pay $50 for a vinyl that I know.
Right.
But I'm not paying for that. I went on Amazon right there. I was like, hey guys, I just bought your record for $20.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean,
and I hate to take that away from the band, but
if anything, you should be marking these things down at the live venues. Right? Cheaper if you get them live.
The headliners won't do that because if they allow the opening bands to have their prices lower, people will buy their stuff more.
Guys, it's like I hate this. It's like narcissism. This fucking popularity contest. I mean, if the opening act sells more merch than you, good for them. Like, what is this like? This inferiority complex like musicians have.
Yeah. We're
Don't be gay, all right? Don't be
Exactly.
fucking lame, guys. Come on.
They can't help it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess back to the album.
Yeah.
Told you this is Derailed the podcast. That's what I should just call this podcast. Derailed. Anyways. But no,
Derailed Book Club. There you go.
Derailed Book Club. There you go. The Polish Book Club.
and something I also forgot about this, but a man by the name of John Bryan played on this record too, and he ended up becoming a big composer in Hollywood. He did like Punch Drunk Love and Magnolia. And
yeah, John Bryan. Yeah. Oh, I do hear John Bryan in there. Like, yeah.
I'm
a big fan of John Bryan.
So am I. I love his Punch Drunk Love soundtrack. That it was absolutely brilliant. That's
actually kind of hilarious that you said that, because for one of the songs on my notes, I wrote, it sounds like a movie score. I forgot what song it was, but it sounded like a movie score for a quick second, and then it went from movie score to sounding like the Beatles. That's what I wrote in my notes.
John Bryan's songs where he sings, he does kind of sing similar to these guys. He's got that kind of, like I said, that barbershop kind of quartet kind of voice, very enunciated and clean and white. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know.
Yeah.
White boy.
But great vocalists, man. Like, seriously, to be compared to the likes of Freddie Mercury, because like I said, the second I heard this, the intro to the album is this operatic type thing that I'm like, oh, very Bohemian Rhapsody type, middle of type shit, and then it goes. Then the second song kicks in, and then
Sabrina Paste and Play-Doh. What a great name!
And when that kicks in, it's so funny because the very initial riff for that song, I'm like, oh shit, something's about to go down. It goes like, I'm like, okay, and then it just goes right to like a Queen piano type. I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck just happened? And I loved it. And then it goes from that to like, then the next part of that song to me sounds like a bit of like grungy Weezer, where it's like, like something like that. And then, the middle of the song totally goes into like Queens of the Stone Age, with like boom, 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 like some like Queens of the Stone Age type riffage. So it was like going, to me, I mean, again, I'm only associating with the bands I know. I'm sure you guys named a bunch of bands that I'm not too familiar with that it sounds like to you. But yeah, man, like you could hear so many different artists, past and future. Like you could tell a lot of musicians were inspired by this to like I'm not, they have that like, they had a couple like that doom riffs, like those like doomy kind of almost like grunge doom riffs that I'm like, man, this is like, like I said, Queens of the Stone Age, and Queens of the Stone Age hasn't even, they're not going to be out for like another couple years, but by the time when this album comes out, which I don't know if we mentioned, this was 1993.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, this is like, I'm thinking more like along the lines of like comparing this to like at the time, like Blind Melon and like other, what is like more popular at the time that was like
Black
on the
Crowes.
radio, like Black Crowes. But yeah, like the grunge thing was kind of really like at their peak. I mean, when Kurt Cobain didn't die till 94, right? So he was like
94.
He was like, he was already like top cock around these parts,
right?
Yeah, grunge was taking over the world, and everybody forgot about all the other little
Nobody
guys.
likes this happy shit.
No one likes happy. Nobody likes good musicians, great vocalists. No, they want to go hear Kurt Cobain raspily sing his throat out.
Right. Well, and then consider too, like, when was the last time power pop was like a thing? Going through the 80s. You had the hair metal, then you had your synth pop. But that was really it. Like, country was so far dead in the water. The horses were beating the dead horses that were already dead, right? And power pop didn't really you know, it had a few bands like Supertramp in the 70s, and Electric Light Orchestra would be another band I would probably compare these guys to
I love both of them.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the late 60s, like you're saying, XTC and stuff like, so a band like this hadn't that even had a chance to be on the radio. Like that wasn't a thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of doing niche music as it is, and
right.
Yeah, I mean, spending so much time like perfecting it.
Yeah,
it's just crazy, man. And then yeah, like you said, like for me, I don't mind when like a good musician kind of tones it down and kind of simplifies their stuff and plays simpler music. What I don't like is what's it called, outsider music, where you have people who don't really know how to play and they're just kind of faking it. Like Daniel Johnston's a great example. I do like Daniel Johnston's songs, don't get me wrong, but like like that guy, you know, you have these artists that are just like, you know, kind of pretending basically. Like, I don't really know chords. I just kind of put my fingers where it sounds good kind of stuff. And you're like, don't ever tell anyone that. Like, learn some power chords at the very least, please.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, and the first record is a much more simpler album. And you know, but this album was their masterpiece. Like this was, this album
when they were writing it.
Right. And maybe they knew that this was their last chance to which is why they did it.
Yeah, they kind of broke up like right after the tour, kind of, because like, you know, your sales aren't good. You go on tour, the tour is not great. I mean, you're kind of like already drifting apart by then. You know?
Right. Well, they didn't know the sales number because SoundScan hadn't been a thing yet. It was only like halfway through the tour that where they were keeping track of all the record sales.
Eesh.
So they probably sold a lot more records than them or the record company knew at the time.
Tour. Yeah.
Right. Or even abroad. But what does it say too? The thing that I love about these guys, and you hear it in both records, is their like attention to detail. Like in that first song when he says the line, he's runs behind the corner to kiss the chef, and you hear the kissing, which is like whenever I hear their music, and it's one of those things I always do. I know these moments in their songs are like when they have a sniff in one of the songs, and it's fun. Like, you know, as not just as a musician, but like as a fan of music, those are little things that I love to do. It's like my inside joke with the band if I'm in the car, or, you know, or my stepdad who introduced me to these guys. Like, it's something we always do.
Right.
We did it live. We did it in the car when we were listening. But that detail, and as I get older and listen to it more, I hear more and more and more in this record that I had no idea was there.
Yeah. It's definitely geared for the musicians, man, and look at us, you know, gleeing over this like fucking this
is the first time I ever heard this album. It was great. I liked it a lot.
Same.
I know Mike Portnoy is a big fan of these guys.
Dude, apparently Kim Basinger wanted to collaborate with them after their first album. I was like, what?
They did some stuff with Ringo Starr. They had a writing session, I think, with Brian Wilson at one point.
It's kind of like South Park. Like you got like you have a little thing you got going on, and celebrities like it.
They had they had the right people, but the wrong time.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I could think, because if this record comes out today, I think it does better because it's so not like anything else right now, but it's so much better than everything else.
Yeah.
Right now. And I like I was telling you before we started, Justin Hawkins, the singer of the Darkness, calls this band the greatest band you've never heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bittersweet is like the perfect word for
like what could have been.
Yeah.
Is definitely, but it's still to me it's just a beautiful record. It always makes me smile. I have so much fun listening to it. And I never really thought, to be honest, I never really thought about it as a musician's record. I just kind of, for me, put it up there with the Sgt. Pepper's and the Pet Sounds.
Pet Sounds is still wild. I love the Walk Hard moment where they're making fun of Pet Sounds. You know, he's like he's recording the goat and the boobs and stuff. You know? Like, experimental. You know, I like experimental music. They took a chance. You know. And what also is sad is like, you know, I mean, it's bittersweet, but there's still like the sweetness to it because like, you know, you can still revisit this album. These artists are still alive, I think, right? I mean, because the worst story is when a band gets really famous and then someone dies and then the band's over, like, you know, Nirvana or whatever. You got or even before they get famous, like who was the guy who died on heroin? Nick Drake, you know. Nick Drake is like one of those guys who got famous after he died. Same thing with Sublime. Brad Nowell. Like they had a following, they had they had potential to really build and get bigger, huge, and then you just overdose or something. Like that's always the worst. There is no sweetness to that story. So, you know, at least these guys always have this album to look back to and be like, yeah, dude, I made this shit. What do you think of that?
Hell yeah.
Well, and I know that if you go, you can go on YouTube and what is it? Roger. He's actually done documentary full album breakdowns of the record with like a producer or something like that. So like if you want to get more into the nitty gritty, like if you like me, if you kind of like that stuff, or you're like, oh, I wonder how they did that or how they put this on. He goes into those fun details of, you know, doing that. And both guys had really successful careers afterwards. You know, he Roger, who the guitar player, he went on, he played with Beck for a while. He's done several recordings for like Jay-Z, Blink-182, Johnny Cash.
Right on.
And then what's his name? Andy's actually very successful in TV. He's he did a bunch of work with the Japanese pop duo Puffy, known as Puffy Yumi, outside of Japan. But he's also done a bunch of stuff with Cartoon Network. So he did stuff for like Ben 10, Batman, The Brave and the Bold. So I mean they've had, you know, outside. He just didn't like being a singer. He didn't like being a front man, I think is what it boiled down to. But I think when you have two massively talented writers, like, and you listen to this record and you can tell like these guys are brilliant. It's the same thing with the Beatles. It's the same thing with the Beatles. Like at some point, you know, it's destined to.
Right. Heads will clash and
right.
Absolutely. No,
well,
man.
I'm just really glad you guys liked the record. I've never not had anybody like it, but you just never know. And I wanted to pick something fun. Not trying to be a music record, but something that, to me, this is just one of those really fun records to listen to where every song's just kind of a new adventure. And I like albums.
I am glad that you brought this one to us because I've never heard of the band, never heard of the record. Man, what a fun ride this is. It really goes all over the place. Like no two songs really sound that similar. You know, they're all just kind of their own ride or vibe. You know, it really just goes all over the place and it's fantastic.
But it doesn't feel chaotic. It feels cohesive. Like it works together.
Yes,
like yes. Because bands have done that where each song's different and you're just like, Jesus, get me off this ride.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. Any favorite tracks? What's your favorite track here, John?
Oh, jeez.
Or top three if you can't think of one.
Yeah, good Lord. I actually have one from the that didn't actually make it on onto the record, but
Oh.
I'll keep that one off. but it is actually a funny song about Super Mario Brothers. So I'll post it in the private chat for you guys if you want to check it out. It's a fun one. Sabrina Paste and Play-Doh is such a great fun song, and I like that one so much. I would put that up there. Maybe I like the Ghost. I mean, hold on, let me grab the record here. Because I have it on vinyl.
I like the first two tracks as one song, Hush and Joining a Fan Club.
Same, yeah.
And then I do like Russian Hill a lot because it's like,
yes,
it's very slow and chill, and it reminds me a bit of like Rufus Wainwright, who I like a lot. Like, kind of Rufus Wainwright vibes. I dig it.
It's funny. Yeah, Russian Hill also stuck out to me.
Gluttonous Symphony. That's what I was thinking of. That's probably my favorite track off the record. Like, that's my favorite. But basically, once you hit Joining a Fan Club, Sabrina Paste and Play-Doh, New Mistake, and Ghost of Sympathy, or Glutton of Sympathy, and then the Ghost at number 1. Like, I think that's like a really good, like,
back to back.
Right, and then you get the backside of the record, and that's just bye bye bye. They're getting a little bit more playful, and when you get to that, He's My Best Friend. Really,
I like that song a lot. He's My Best Friend reminded me a bit of like kind of like who was it? Like, it's a bit like April March, or I don't know. It's got that mid '90s vibe, even though this is technically early '90s.
Right,
a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's ahead of its time and behind its time. It's like, it's interesting.
It's funny. Yeah, you mentioned Russian Hills. I think as soon as I heard that, I was thinking of a band called Porcupine Tree. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Porcupine Tree. They're kind of a progressive, kind of rock metal band. They started in like the late '80s, early '90s, but they didn't. The records that I really listen to a lot are the ones that are like the early 2000 ones. They sound a lot like they get compared to like Tool a lot and that kind of like stuff, but not that the singer doesn't really scream or anything like that. It's a good band, but they have very chill, soft songs that reminded me of Russian Hills a lot. And then what was the other song? I think it was All Is Forgiven. It has this like, it's just it has like a kind of like a weird like a tom with the toms, kind of like a rhythmic, kind of like tribal almost beat going on. I don't know who I compared it to. I was like, this sounds like somebody, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And then I think that's the song where it just like abruptly stops in the middle. And I'm like, what happened to the song? And then it continues. I'm like, damn it, it got me again. That happened to me like 3 times because I listened to the record a couple times. And the whole time, same thing happened to me. I'm like, who does this sound like? And then it stops. I'm like, oh, wait, did something happen? And then the music starts again. I'm like, motherfucker. It got me. So that song stuck out to me just for the troll. But no, man, really, man, yeah, really great. Like, just from front to back, you know, like, what a ride it is. Because it's, like you said, cohesive, but all over at the place at the same time. Ahead of a time, but behind its time. What a, you know, what other album could you describe in that way? It's kind of,
right.
You know, it's amazing and no one's heard it. It's like shocking to me. Yeah.
Well, and that's why I picked it. Hopefully more people will get it. Like you guys got a chance to listen to it and
hopefully this anyone listening now or future watchers of the VOD, if they maybe we get some extra ears on this album. Any more ears on this album is a damn good thing.
Right, because that's the only way that we keep it alive.
Absolutely, yeah.
By talking about these records and passing them on to people. So
hell yeah, that's another one of the reasons why I love doing these book clubs is because I am not an expert on all albums. I have my little enclosed area of like, oh yeah, these are the bands I like, this is whatever, and I rarely, like, I want to venture out and learn about new bands and new artists and all that stuff, but it's kind of hard to like just dive into it. Like you get recommendations from friends all the time, and you're like, oh, you should check this out, and you should check this out. And I always say, I'm like, yeah, I'll go check it out, but like nothing really inspires me to go listen to any new music. I don't know why. It's kind of the same with movies for me too. It's kind of hard for me to not just put on the same old reliable or the same season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for the 5 millionth time. It's like, I don't know why I don't want to, like, I rarely want to venture out and look for like new stuff. So that's kind of why I'm really glad I do this book club thing, because it's like it kind of forces me into a corner. It's like, all right, now you have to listen to these albums because you got to talk about it in front of people and not look like an idiot. So there you go. So we're gonna force all you people listening, listen to this album, because we're gonna check up on you later and make sure you've listened to this album. Every one of you watching, I know where you live.
We'll be there.
We'll be there outside your door. So what did you think about Jellyfish? It's 1 out of 10. We'll be at your door, mother.
Like Jay and Silent Bob at the end of Silent Bob Strikes.
We got all you motherfuckers. You are the ones that are the ass lickers. Oh, hell yeah. Love it. Alrighty. Any final thoughts or anything else on this album? I mean, I feel like I want to keep diving. I think I'm gonna check out. You said Roger Manning has a YouTube and he does a deep dive on the.
I just I'll pull up the documentaries for you. I don't think it was directly him, but somebody else. You for some like I think 2016, 17 or something. Some YouTube people started putting a bunch of stuff up.
Oh, okay.
Now, not that they've gotten a lot of traction, but like when you think of bands at this level, these guys probably luckily have a little bit more resources on the internet than some of the bands at their level would normally.
Right.
So, but
right.
Yeah, I'll put those in the chat here for you, so that way you can.
Hell yeah.
You guys can check all that stuff out.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. This was definitely a fun listen. Oh yeah, see, I'm looking at some producers of the Bee Gees were on this album. That's funny because there was. Hold on, let me pull up. I had notes here, and I just kind of wrote as I was listening to each song. I was like, just write down what I like, who this song reminds me of, or like what it goes from one thing to another. Like so, like I said, Queen meets Weezer meets Queens of the Stone Age. That's one of them. Then I wrote. Movie soundtrack meets Beatles for one of them, so it's funny that you said that guy went on to do movie soundtracks or scores. I mean, and then I simply just wrote Hall & Oates for one of them because it just like it gave me one of them. Oh, which one is it? Oh fuck, it's in my head, but I don't remember the name of the track. But it suddenly goes into like this something like that. I can't remember. Is it? Bye. I don't remember, but it sounds like a Bee Gees or a Hall & Oates or something like that. It goes from like this nice like rockin' kind of Queen or something, and then it goes out of nowhere. It just starts sounding funky, and we get
maybe bye because bye. So there it is, another waiting to begin.
Can't remember. It's I just remember it's got it suddenly goes into with the like freaking organs. It's like an organ. You wanna I can't remember the words are, but I think it's somewhere in the middle of the album, and that little like fucking part once it like kicks into that, I was like, oh, that sounds like some fucking soul right there. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's such great stuff, man.
Dude, for real. What a wild ride of a record, and it is again. It's so sad that these guys didn't, continue to make more albums and thrive in the '90s. They really should have. Again, like we were saying, these guys put so much practice into all this, and then you see fucking band like Nirvana where it's just three dudes fucking just screaming, breaking their instruments and stuff like that. It's like, that didn't really take a lot of practice and talent to do that, but you know, they're the biggest band in the world and not these guys. It really goes to show you, that's the one thing I learned about, you know, growing up playing music and all that, is that it's more of a popularity contest than it is a skill thing.
Right.
You know, you could be this more skillful, like, oh my god, look at this intricate riff that I came up with. Look at this score that I came up with. You know, people like, yeah, whatever. Do you look cool? What jeans are you wearing? What's your hair? What's your hair look like?
Oh,
You know, sad.
Yeah. Well, and these guys made it on Beavis and Butthead too. So
right.
They do have that distinction of being on Beavis and Butthead.
Damn it! I want to see that. I want what we're.
It's the video for the song "The King Is Half Undressed" off their first record.
Okay.
No.
I want to see the.
And that's when they really go into, so like clothing wise, they are super psychedelic. Like it's all handmade clothing. Like they went super hard. The music's simpler. But it's really, I think
I'm watching it right now. They all walk on screen and they're all wearing funny costumes. And Butthead just goes, magicians.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh man, Beavis and Butthead.
But it's still like it's just a fun record. The songs are so good in a totally different way. And yeah. I'm the only thing left I have to say is thank you guys for listening to the record. It really means a lot to me.
Oh man, no, thank you for showing it to us, because again, like, you know, when you don't know something exists and then you know something exists, you're like, holy shit, how did I not know this didn't exist? You know, so thank you for bringing it to the light, man. Like, honestly, and I'm happy to have reviewed this on the show. Hopefully people who, you know, looking at this record going, what is this little girl staring at me for? What the hell is this? Put it in your goddamn Spotify. Listen to it. It is something. It is definitely something else, man. And I highly recommend it. 2 thumbs up here on the book club.
And I will say that they used the alphabet serial to spell everything out, all the songs on the back of the record.
Oh,
so
really?
Yes, I don't know if anybody remembers like the alphabet serial. I can't remember the name of it.
That's hilarious. Hold on, let me pull you up. Let me blow you up. Get the fuck out of here. That's awesome.
It was called Alphabets.
Alphabet cereal. Yeah. Oh, I miss Alphabet cereal. That's great. Well, shit, man. I may need to see if I could find one of these records at a record store.
They are a little bit pricey.
Are they?
The first album's you're looking roughly about $80, and Spilt Milk is about 90 to 100.
Ugh, no cheap reprints?
No, those were the reprints.
Those were the reprints? Oh, fuck.
Those were the most recent reprints from 2023.
Oof. Yeah, some reprints do go for that much.
And they haven't had any. That was like the last. I think the preprint previous to that was like 2011 or something like that. So,
wow,
it doesn't happen often, but I will let you know when it comes back. If it comes back around, I'll do what I can to let you, because it's always a different record label.
Oh, okay, yeah,
That's
that reprints it. Yeah, gets the rights to it and starts making money off of it.
Not much, because they don't make many of them.
Right. They attempt to make some money off of it.
Right,
man.
Right, a little.
Yeah. But what a fucking great record, man. Again, Spilt Milk by Jellyfish from '93. What a great time to be alive, man. Yeah, the early to mid '90s had some of the best music. Music started dying in the 2000s, so like when I find stuff like this, that I was like, oh my god, I wish I was like 20 something years old in the early 90s to have been really like just living in it and just, yeah, man. I don't know how old you guys are. I'm 36, so I was a child during the 90s, and yeah, man, just growing up and then becoming a musician and like like I didn't start playing guitar till like 2002 or 2003, and that's when I was like 13 years old then. And yeah, man, it just sucked growing up, finally becoming like a teenager and then an adult, and then music just dying at the wayside. Like, I just got here, I just learned all the instruments, and the music industry's trash now.
Yeah, that's Metallica's fault.
Damn Metallica's fault. And they just came here to Chicago too. They flooded the streets. I was trying to Uber and do my job. Metallica ruining everything all the time.
Yeah, I remember after they sued Napster, they cut their hair and they're like, "Hey guys, we're still cool." It's like, no, you're not, dude.
Although you know what, I will die on the Saint Anger. I will die on that Saint Anger.
I like Metallica S&M, but that's because I like Michael Kamen, the composer. You know, he's fucking great.
That's a great sounding record. You're a big fan of Saint Anger?
I almost in a trolling kind of way, only because I really like nu metal. That album was the closest thing to a Metallica nu metal album that there is. I will say that snare is god awful, but I kind of like.
The more you listen to it, the better it sounds. I actually don't have a problem with Saint Anger, believe it or not. I mean, it's very plain, but
yeah,
some of the little stuff they did, like with Frailty, you know, that Frailty. Yeah, like
Frantic, yeah.
Frantic, yeah. I really like, you know, that kind of. I think my favorite record so far by them is Death Magnetic.
Okay.
There's something about that record that I just, and maybe that's because Rick Rubin produced it.
I was gonna say Rick Rubin. I heard I don't know if you guys heard this story, but from what I heard, I was interning at a record not label, but a studio, a recording studio. I was interning at, and one of the engineers was telling me, he's like, I heard that when the Rick Rubin came to visit with Metallica, all he did was day one, he walked in, goes, guys, sound like old Metallica, and then he walked out, and then he didn't see him for 3 months or something like that. I that's the story I heard. He literally just said, just sound good, and then walked away.
I mean, sometimes that's all you need to do. I like that record. I haven't heard Hardwired to Self-Destruct yet. That's the only Metallica, and I have it on vinyl, but I'm waiting to hear it. I'm waiting to do a vinyl hour to like sit down and experience that with my community that comes and watches. And,
hell yeah.
But I'm still mad that they screwed Jason so bad. Especially when you listen to like Garage Days and then you go to And Justice and you're like, boy, what a wasted fucking record.
Dude, And Justice for All is like one of my favorite records of all time, and I started off playing guitar, but if you were to ask me right now, like, oh, what's my like favorite instrument? For some reason, it's the bass. It's the most underrated instrument in all of rock music, and it drives me absolutely bananas to listen to And Justice for All and not hear a fucking single lick of bass in that record. It is so low that it's non-existent, and
especially with how great his bass sounded in Garage Days revisited. Like, it's so good. Like, that's like it is a great freaking sounding.
Yeah,
nasty bass. I love it.
I think on YouTube somebody like re-record or re-uploaded And Justice for All, but actually mixed in a bass guitar into the mix.
And Justice for Jason.
Yes, that's what it is. Justice for Jason.
But the bass is still bad and still low. At least the version I heard.
It was better than the original. Like, I could at least hear bass tones, whereas I can't hear any bass in the original. Like, I'll take what I could get. You know who had the really best version is Rock Band, because they had to like go in and like mess with the EQs individually. Right. So if you mess up, you dink out. The best version of And Justice for All I ever heard was playing Rock Band, because when whoever was playing bass, you could actually hear the fucking bass. I lost my shit playing that. I was like, oh my god, this sounds so good. I've never heard And Justice for All sound so good. But yeah.
Now that the technology is available for people to splice the tracks, you know what I mean, like the AI. So I'm waiting for somebody to actually or I think it would be the ultimate troll is if Jason went to an actual recording studio and recorded some real bass
That
and
would
then
be great.
and then put it on the internet.
That'd
like
be fucking
Jason's,
hilarious.
like that would, because you can split the stems now, and you can just, it's not like you're dumping much,
Right.
and
Oh my god.
So I'm interested to see if somebody has done that yet, and I keep forgetting to look, or if when somebody does that.
Right. Alrighty then. Yeah, you know what? We've said everything we can about this album. Please go listen to Jellyfish and Spilt Milk. It is definitely a wild ride, and let us know what you think down in the comments below. Hell yeah. Let's get on with the next and final album. We're already almost at 2 hours here. I knew this was gonna go longer than. I usually, like
Sorry.
I said, I do no problem. I said I usually do 4 albums and all that for and 4 movies for these things, and I'm like, we got 3 musicians here. Like the music episodes usually run long because we just yammer on about this. So I'm like, if there's only 3 albums, it's gonna go even longer, especially since we're all musicians here. So that is fantastic. All right, last album here. We're going back to some more chill wave, synth wave, dream pop.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, this was called ethereal wave. Was like that's like a new name for it. But at the time, they were doing like kind of inspired. I don't know. The thing about Cocktail Twins, I could have picked a few other bands. I love, my favorite bands are Clem Snide and Granddaddy. I like Flaming Lips a lot, and Always. I also like Washed Out. I could have picked Washed Out, but I was like, I want to pick something older, something that doesn't get enough or gets credit, but I feel like a lot of people don't know about them too much. But yeah, I think the first time I heard them was like this first song on this album, and it was like in 2002 on some mixtape. I was like, what is this? You're thinking it's like a lot newer than it is in reality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is Cocktail Twins. They're very cocaine addled band from the late 80s, and this is probably their most successful album in terms of sales and critical acclaim, most accessible to normies, because their early stuff is weird, like too weird. It's almost like sound band at a certain point,
Soundscape or something like.
Yeah, and the singer who you probably know from some of those Massive Attack songs she sings on.
Oh shit!
Yeah, she's on a lot of those songs. She's a very strange, introverted woman, and Robin Guthrie is like, crazy experimental guitar player. And this is one of those things where we were talking about where you're just doing so much in the studio, it becomes difficult to reproduce it live. So they didn't tour a lot live. But yeah, this album, I mean, this is like the inspiration for most slow shoegaze and dream pop, dream wave, like all that stuff, ethereal wave. It's like it all goes back to Cocktail Twins. Like no one sounds like them, I think, in my opinion.
For sure.
And when you read the lyrics, it's even weirder.
I think the closest sound-wise that I would call out would be like maybe Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah, that's definitely one of their inspirations for sure. They like Susie and the Banshees.
Okay, I didn't see that in my research, so that's cool that I at least kind of made that connection a little bit.
Yep.
Slow Dive was heavily inspired by them. Even The Weeknd said that he likes Cocktail Twins a lot. But usually when they're talking
one of their songs.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now this thing is like they've got other really good songs on other good albums, but like Carolyn's Fingers and Bluebeard is one of my favorite songs of theirs. It's got such a tasty guitar riff. But this album I think is their album that's like it's every song on there is a banger. And it's funny because even the song like this is one of those CDs I owned, and I would skip a couple songs because like this isn't really. But then you listen to the whole song, like eventually, and you're like, "Oh wait, no, it does eventually turn around and get there." With, everything's washy. Everything is like, layers. Everything's got this haze to it. Everything's got this. Everything's soft. Like there's no sharp edges on anything.
Right.
This entire album, and these melodies are just really catchy and strange, and it's just out there, man. But yeah, I mean, I love this like kind of like washed out. Like there's some guitar solos, like on Heaven in Las Vegas, the title track. The guitar solo is just wow, 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 wow. It's not really like hard to play,
right?
But it's just awesome stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I just always like this album a lot. And like I said, it's just very. You just hear a lot of loud colors and bright flashing lights when you like bright lights when you hear this stuff. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's almost like a washed out, but a little more darker. I don't know.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
It's a rich tapestry of sound.
Yes.
Going on here, and you know, when you find out it's just like 3 or 4 dudes, but this album, you know, both the Robin Guthrie and the singer, God, her name's escaping me right now. They were a couple and they had just had a child, and they were also addicted. Or at least the singer was Elizabeth is her name. They were both like heavily addicted to cocaine at the time, or at least definitely the guitar player was. And you definitely can. I remember hearing this for the first time in 2004 or 2002, and looking up these lyrics to Cherry Color Funk, and I'm like, this sounds like crazy, like cocaine riddled gobbledygook, and it was. I found out in hindsight they were like struggling with cocaine addiction at the time, and you're like, wow. And it's funny because when you think cocaine, you think like energetic, like fast-paced music, and it's like, no, not necessarily. But also the bass player, he was dealing with like the death of his father, who was a big problem with it, a big influence in his life, and so this album is probably more accessible because when you actually do look at the lyrics and try to interpret these really rich metaphors, is one way to describe it. Almost nonsensical lyrics, some of these songs. But yeah, definitely a lot of stuff about like, just, classic human condition things like life and loss and love and joy and all these things. And it's just one of those, it's like one of those albums I'd show to aliens, like, like what would you, how would you describe this stuff? It's like, it's just very like dreamlike, ethereal wave is a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like I have a hard time picking a favorite song on this album.
Yeah. To me, honestly, I think the first 2 songs, "Cherry Colored Funk" and "Pitch the Baby," really like because that was the first, that was my first introduction, and those were just really the album just came in strong, and I was like, holy, like, and then that's when I was like, this sounds like Washed Out to me, and that's what made me want to choose Washed Out for this episode. But yeah, man.
Fots Politic is badass song, and then same number 7, and also track 9, Road, River, and Rail. Road, River, and Rail is one of those songs that I kind of skipped toward. I didn't really listen to like a lot, and then once I started listening to it, it's like, wow, this is like probably the best song on the album, man.
Right on.
But like I said, it's definitely like I said, just like Washed Out, it's definitely like music to chill out to. But unlike Washed Out, it's not, there are choruses, there are parts to these songs. There is like some musicianship here, at least on the guitar player's point of view. The guitar player is just he's done some other stuff that is pretty noteworthy, I think. I can't remember what, but yeah, I mean, definitely one of these bands that's like, you've probably heard them, don't know it, in some of their side projects and stuff.
Has any of their music been in any any movies or TV shows?
Well, if you've seen Lost Highway, David Lynch, they have a side project called This Mortal Coil, where they did a cover of the Song of the Siren. That was featured heavily in that movie.
Right on.
They also, it sucks because this is also more bittersweet stuff where it's like this was their biggest mainstream success, but they peaked here, obviously, because the stuff they tried after that was a little bit too. It wasn't really hitting, and then they at one point they did a Fruitopia commercial in the late '90s. Yeah, and then obviously Elizabeth, she started doing getting asked to sing for other musicians, like I said, Massive Attack and some other people. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's one of those things where yeah, it's I mean, go out on a good note, I guess. But yeah, they still basically have this album particularly still has a great hold on this kind of this genre of music,
right. Definitely like one of the pioneers of the genre, if anything, because this did, or it was close enough to the 80s where it still has that 80s sound, because this came out in 1990,
right?
So just
but
as
the stuff
the 80s...
they were doing in the 80s was very weird,
right?
Like she was singing like gibberish at a lot of songs, like just making noises, really trying to stretch
inspired
the
Jonathan Davis.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's trying to stretch the limits of how far you can take the lyrics and words.
Right.
Sigur Rós, they were also that Icelandic band, and I thought they were singing in Icelandic. They sing in gibberish as well, and heavily inspired by Cocteau Twins. I was like, oh wow, okay,
that is funny. It's funny because I was trying to think of like where did gibberish like kind of start, and I'm like, I think it started with scatting with jazz music, because it's like the vocalist wants to join in on the song but doesn't have any words, so they just like so that's where gibberish in like current day, like Korn and all that, I think that's where the whole idea for gibberish in music. You know what? I'm making a gibberish band, no lyrics, all just skip dab dab do bang bang bo.
I'd buy that.
Would you? Nice.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
But let's see. Okay, apparently this band is a Scottish band.
Yes,
they are Scottish. That's
so,
yeah, Glasgow.
This was the first time I've heard these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And I heard this. So this was pretty fun. I heard this was the second record I listened to. So I did Washed Out first.
Yeah.
And then I came back to this, and this record really played with me too. Because I'd be like, oh, I don't know about that verse. And then I'd hear the chorus, and okay, now I want to hear it go back to the verse. and so like I felt like I was getting a little bit of payoff, like a little, happy time.
Yeah.
Like so the first song on the record actually really felt like a song that you would hear on college radio. Like it felt more like an indie pop song, less like whatever the rest of the record is, right? It definitely feels like it's not like the rest of the record. Now I know Paul, you said you Pitch the Baby was one of your favorites on the record. I found it really a really distracting song. I felt like there was too much going on in the song that I couldn't get into it. Now this is a weird thing about like when we listen to music digitally versus wherever. I don't know which mix of the album I'm listening to, because there's probably, so my take on this album was very high end. And so the highs were real like pinchingly high.
Oh, I know what you mean.
This record was not soft. This was, I'm not going to say grading because it wasn't, but due to the mix of whatever version I was listening to, it didn't feel like it was, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because a lot, especially these, even with Washed Out, like I think he did a good job of trimming down like that style of like synth wave or whatever. Even like the old 80s, like if you listen to like The Cure and like the Smiths and all that, their records were kind of mixed in a way where like the highs were, you know, kind of coming through, and not a lot of lows.
Right.
And it almost like is like piercing. So then, yeah, like bands that came out later, that try to emulate that, like a Washed Out, like this, they still want to get that sound. And if you don't do it right, or if you're like, I don't know if this album has been remixed since, and like you said, you don't know which version you're listening to it. Maybe you listened. Did you listen to like on Spotify or on YouTube or something, or
Amazon?
Amazon.
Yeah, so both were in Ultra HD audio.
Okay, all right.
But
all right.
again, still, you know,
yeah,
you just don't know what they bought the rights to.
Right, I could see that. Yeah,
because this album would probably sound warmer if I had the vinyl. Because vinyls, if I had an analog tape of it on a reel to reel, it'd probably be like perfect.
Yeah.
Depending on the mix, of course, you get. But no, I still enjoyed the record. Like I said, it played with me a lot. So Ice Blink Luck, that was the first single on the record. I think that was a great choice. Again, I'd never heard it. I felt like there was hints of The Cure. Now I knew The Cure were around, but they were kind of becoming becoming not the 80s Cure and the 90s Cure. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
But there's still that kind of vibe with the with the sound of and the tone of the guitar it's in the background, right? It's not up at the forefront, it's in the background. And I know The Cure did that on some of their songs. But the very strong and steady bass, I really feel like the bass player for Silver Sun Pickups just basically said, I'm gonna steal all of your bass playing style. if you've heard Silver Sun Pickups, because that's like that's what that as a modern comparison. But the bass is brilliant because he does these little subtle movements and things a lot of times in the album that I found. And later on in the record, he starts playing stuff a little higher on the fretboard, and I thought it was really a very specific song, and I'll get to that later. That I was like, I didn't like it at first, and then I heard all this stuff kind of come together, and I'm like, you son of a bitch. Dirty son of you, dirty bass player, you. And then so you know that's it. I'll stop for now. I mean, I've got notes on every song. I will say Foats Politic.
Yeah.
That I think is the best. I think it's the best song on the record.
I love that song very much. And then also, like I said, I came around to Road, River, and Rail later, but Fots Politic is just one of those songs like from the very beginning, like with that big that crescendo, and it just like slaps like its dick right on the table, you know?
Right.
And it's in 3/4, which has got this great kind of like bounce to it.
Yep.
And it's but what's crazy about this thing is like I always imagined like this was like a heavily like, you know, synth keyboard band, you know, it's like it's all guitar. It's all one guitar player just doing all these like really insane experimental effects, which again, you know, it kind of gets difficult when you try to go on tour or whatever or play the songs live, you know.
So like for this song, just for like, I really think that the vocal bridge of the song really like brings the track together like 100%, if that makes sense. It's great verse, great chorus, but then that bridge just, and I'm like a sucker for a melody, and then it's just like bounce
me back to you, will you? Yeah, it's really good.
Right. And then for some really weird reason, and you can slap me if you want, but I'm like, if somebody was gonna do this live, stripped down without, you know, like stripped down, for some reason I was like, what came to my mind was like, I could see Sixpence None the Richer actually do a really good version of this song.
For sure. I would love to see like an unplugged version of these songs. In fact, I prefer it when covers, when you're going to cover a band, like don't make it sound just like the original, you know, like do something different. In fact, I've always said like I'm in a band called Fecal Pickle, where it's like we just it's my keyboard player and me singing, and that's it. And the joke is, and we do like stupid ass songs, but like the point is like if you could take this song and like just transpose it to just a piano and a guy singing it, and it still sounds like a good song, you know, then you've got something there, you know. If you actually need all the effects and the layers for it to make sense, then, you know, it's kind of lacking. But like if the melody's there and the lyrics are on point, you know, you got yourself a hit, you know. If you could strip down all that technology out of it, you know.
Right, and that for some reason, I don't know why, but that band just, because they're a very stripped down band as it is, I'm like, if anybody could do that, and yeah, and especially hit the notes the way they need to be hit on that song, you could keep the same tempo and just acoustic with a little light guitar like they do, like on Here She Goes and stuff like. It would be a phenomenally awesome cover. I don't know why, but I don't know why it popped into my head that way, but sometimes that stuff happens.
Who has covered Cocteau Twins?
I wonder if anyone has.
I'm sure a lot of people have.
I think The Weeknd did Heaven or Las Vegas.
Right on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you've got Yoga Pop-Ups have done Cherry Colored Funk. Yeah, you got. Oh, okay. There's a huge list here. Okay. A lot of bands I've never heard of though. Deftones covered Wax and Wayne. Wow.
That's a Cocteau song. Cocteau Twins song. I mean, I wasn't a fan of their version of it. It was, but I'm just like, I don't know what this cover is. I've never heard of it. Okay. Wow. Interesting. Wax and Wayne. Yeah.
I would say, and I would say if you're gonna look up other stuff that was on different songs or different albums, like Bluebeard is a really great song with a very catchy guitar riff, and then also Carolyn's Fingertips and Sugar Hiccup. There's some good songs, man. They're weird, you know, but like good weird, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I'm trying to look up some other, like a lot of other artists, a lot of covers. But you know, April March did Pink, Orange, and Red. That's cool. Check that out. I like April March. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm just still looking. There's a lot of covers. There's like 7 pages of covers here. Okay, but yeah, I mean they're. It's like it's one of these bands you don't realize how popular they are amongst other musicians, kind of like Jellyfish.
For sure, yeah. No, I did not even realize that these guys were that popular. That's awesome.
I mean, they're like, I mean, I would say, you know, pretty damn influential is the other thing. Like, because like, they're like whole genres that like that classification to this band alone. Because like I said, like even to this day, like no one really sounds like them. And definitely at the time, nobody sounded like them. I can imagine. Like, I can't think of a single band that sounded like them. And, you know, could be to their detriment. But yeah, I mean, it's just weird stuff, man. And it's funny because I feel like if I had picked Clem Snide, that's more like singer-songwriter stuff. I feel like John would have liked that a lot. You should check them out if you haven't heard of them.
Well, I had fun. I had fun with this. In fact, actually, what was funny, and I didn't even, you know, writing this before I knew what you guys thought of the Jellyfish record. Road, River, and Rail. It wasn't one of my favorite songs. The bass is really driving on that song, though. I did enjoy that. The chorus killed me. I loved it. It was so good. But
that's why it like grew on me, because like once you hear it, you're like, oh damn, all right.
So, and I have notated that I think I need to listen to this one more in order to get to like the verses. But the chorus of that song actually reminds me of a song from the first Jellyfish album.
Oh,
cool.
Interesting.
What song?
I can't remember it off the top of my head. This has been killing me. I've been trying to think
I know the name of the album. I'll listen to that too.
Yeah. But like and I think once I heard Road, River, and Rail and the way that the bass was playing, that's when like the Silver Sun pickups came. Like, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, that guy just totally ripped these guys off. I Wear Your Ring is another good one. It's got, you know, a heavy opening on the synth. Again with the bass guitar taking the lead on the verse and the chorus, but it's super subtle. And that was a song where he's playing much higher on the fretboard, so it really stands out. And this was definitely one of those songs where I did not like the verse, but once I heard the chorus and then them go back into the verse, it made so much more sense. It was like, oh, I I see what they're, and then because the chorus has got those nice layered vocals where she's put down one track and then she's doing something else. Really, and then the vocal bridge was perfect, like perfect for the song, and then how it builds up, where it keeps adding more and more vocals just to fade away to end the song.
Oof.
I was like, that was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Like parts and turns and stuff. Yeah, that's it. Because like Cherry Color Funk, the first song is kind of more akin to what Washout's doing. It's just kind of bass, groove, lyrics over it, layers, and then it kind of just ends, you know. Whereas like when you got your verse, your chorus, your bridge, your turns, your you know, all these moments, you know, it makes the song kind of more like you know, of a story kind of thing, more thematic.
Right. A band that really that I'm really reminded of, or at least a record, because they're from what was it? Boy, I'm just totally. They're from Scotland, and another band that is also from Scotland. They're from Dalma. I don't know. They're from Scotland, but a band called Gloss Vegas.
Oh, that's great. That's a great name.
Yeah, and their first album, and maybe if you have me on, again, I'll recommend that, because it's. I don't. They're considered indie rock, but their first record is. The drummer has a cocktail kit. They've got 2 guitars and a bass player, and it's this beautiful wall of sound. But it's a beautiful wall of sound mixed in with doo-wop.
Wow.
And it's absolutely just wow. The first time I heard them, I was and they were able to do that live.
Oh, nice.
Because I saw them here live where I live in a little crappy club. But they only have 4 records. I didn't like the other 3, but their first album, which is self-titled, and that's 2008. It's just this euphorically beautiful, like better than a Phil Spector wall of sound. So
yeah, damn, I have to check that out.
Yeah, so that was one of the bands that it very possibly could have been very inspired, since they're from the same general area. Right
on.
Cool.
Yeah, freaking awesome record. I really enjoyed this one. This was another one to just kind of cruise around to. I love a good just album that you can just pop on and drive around to. I mean,
road trip albums, yeah.
Road trip albums, hell yeah. Especially for me, since I Uber for a living, so I'm always cruising around. So I always really need a good soundtrack
and some of the other albums, you know, they got some misses on there that I don't really care for. This is, like I said, this is one of those albums I could listen to all 10 songs and, you know, no problems. Whereas like, you know, it's always kind of upsetting when you have an album. That's why I always grew up. I like buying movie soundtracks, because like, you know, you just get compilations, you know, because like sometimes like an artist, like, you know, a band or a singer, like you know, by the 10th or 12th song, you're like, all right, I need to cut like 3 or 4 of these from the listening experience. But
yeah,
you know, not with this song, not with this album, not with this band. I don't know. It's just like just something. It's not invasive.
Yeah.
And the same thing with, you know, like Washed Out, but like for opposite reasons. You know, Washed Out is just kind of like, it's just mellow. It's like Chillville, you know.
Yeah, it's like I'm too chill now. Let's get the energy back up.
Yeah, let's listen to some Jellyfish.
That's right. Hell yeah. Let me see here. Any other last thoughts on this album before we because we're already at the... you still got some. You still got some. Oh, you said you still have some stuff to say?
No. I think I got everything that I needed. Yeah, these were fun. These were fun records to listen to, even though they're not something I would normally ever listen to.
Right on.
You know,
yeah, check out. Like I said, you might like Clem's Night. It's more like alternative country. It's very interesting stuff. But what makes Cocteau Twins even crazier is when you read these lyrics to some of these songs. You're like, what the hell?
Well, and that's what I'm gonna. That's what I'm gonna do. Go back again and listen with the words too. You know, pay attention to what they're saying.
There's a good YouTube playlist with the lyrics, all the lyric music videos for Cocteau Twins, and it's like the remastered CD apparently is what that's come from, the 4AD album, because they were briefly signed by 4AD.
Right, they were Capitol was their distributor in America, if I remember correctly.
Okay, that could be. Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I had fun.
All these albums were freaking awesome. Everybody, check out Cocteau Twins, Heaven or Las Vegas. Go cruise around, smoke a blunt, and just chill out to it. Hell yeah. All these albums were great. Go listen to all these freaking albums. Yeah, man. And write down in the comments below what you thought of them. That's what book club's all about. I want everybody to get involved, not just the guys talking here. Chat, people watching VODs later. Let us know what you think, because music makes the world go round. I feel like there's not enough, people talking about either albums or bands or music in general. I mean, we're living in such a weird time where like the only people anyone's talking about are these dumb pop artists and rap artists that like. I don't see anyone praising or like being like, oh, this new band is awesome. It's like, where's the instruments? Where are the people at? Where's the bands at? And it's kind of hard to find anything new these days. So, hell yeah, everybody, go back and listen to some good old early 90s, early everything. As long as it's not 2020 something. Oh man, it's you know what? Although I did have an idea for an episode of Book Club, because I was thinking about this the other day. Is like, how did you learn growing up? How did you learn about new music? It was usually through like movies or video games, a TV show, or wrestling even.
Not me.
No.
Yeah, it was fun. It was hard. It was hard when you heard a movie like if you didn't have the soundtrack. And like, for instance, like The Matrix, for instance, like they had a lot of songs on that movie that were not on the soundtrack. And you're like, how do you, and then you realize like, oh, like for instance, when Neo's like asleep, that's like Massive Attack song. And then you find that out and you're like, oh, okay. It was difficult back then.
Yeah. But
I went to record stores, but I was lucky that, so even though Sacramento's the home of Tower Records, if anyone remembers Tower Records.
Oh yeah.
We also had a really awesome local chain called Dimple Records, and those guys bought into listening booths. So anything that was used, CD or cassette, you could listen to it before you bought it, and then they would, all the new releases from major labels to independents, they'd put them in these things so you could actually listen to the record. Because I was a big punk rock kid, and the only way to get punk rock records, besides word of mouth and people passing tapes, was fine, looking at a cover and going, oh, this looks cool, let's see if I can listen to it, right?
Yeah.
That's what we would do. And so that's how I had to track down I would spend endless amounts of hours after work at a record store just listening to try and find stuff that I liked.
Yeah. There was a little bit of those listening stations, here and there, but they didn't really. I don't know. I wouldn't really find anything new that would pique my interest. I'd only like preview something that I was already interested in. But
it was like a risk. It was like a risk to buy some new CD from someone that it's like.
Yeah. You're like, I'm dropping $20, which is a lot of fucking money today. in those days. Yeah. And
I had good crazy friends that also like punk rock, but we'd go to the store and be like, "Oh, this album looks cool. I'm buying it."
Yeah.
And then I'd let them buy the records, and if it sucked, I got to make fun of them, right? And if it ripped, I'm going back and buying this because I need to have it. So I let them buy all that stuff, and then that was another like, or if I saw a record I thought looked cool, I'm like, hey Dan, check this out, dude. This looks kind of cool. Do you think this cover looks pretty awesome? Like you might want to buy it and listen to it and let me know if it's any good.
Oh man, yeah, the risk of trying to find new artists these days, which is so weird because now there is no risk. You could just literally click on anything and like, hey, I could discover whatever the hell I want, yet everyone's still listening to the same crap.
But it's also so hard to, because there's so much crap, popular or not, it's
hard
really
to sift through.
It's hard to find, like, it's hard to find anything. Like, I found these, I want to say they're like 19, 20-year-old kids from San Diego, California. I swear to God, they sound like they came out of 1999 Drive-Thru Records pop punk. Like, blew my mind. Like, these kids are so good. And I'm like, but I got very lucky and randomly found, same thing with another band from Connecticut. I found out they do everything DIY, so it took them 4 years to record their record, to have the money, and then to press it all on CD and on vinyl and on cassette. And I'm like, oh, I dig that, man. Like, I'm going to support that. And their music is good, so it obviously helps too.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That's the best, is when you find an artist, you're like, holy, especially independent, that's just doing it themselves, and then you support them directly. That's I'm hoping to find a future of artists that blow up and that they're all independent, that we get some fucking sense, put some goddamn music sense back into people, because I feel like the normie, the everyday person that doesn't really know much about music, I feel like there's like the standards of music has just dropped, so it doesn't even need to even make sense. Back then we had standards like, oh, the music needs to at least sound good and somewhat cohesive and whatever it was, and now the standards have dropped so much that, like, how is half of the stuff that is out now like popular? How is the current state of music the current state of music? I don't know how we allowed that, but it's because people buy it. Exactly. People are idiots. So I'm praying that there's a shift in the mindset of the average listener to be more like, you know what? I will support this local band that is doing awesome and all that kind of stuff. I'm praying for that kind of stuff. But I was gonna say that it seems like today, not very often, but like like I was saying before, the way I would discover something new would be, again, through movies or video games. A lot of Tony Hawk. I'm sure a lot of people that played Tony Hawk video games learned about half of the bands on those soundtracks. Were like, oh, I still listen to those bands today, thanks to
such great records,
dude, for sure. And but it's funny because today it seems like the way you find new music is through damn TikToks, videos, and shorts and Instagram reels, where people will loop the same part of a song in 100 different videos, and usually it's sped up. That's the thing that drives me crazy. Is like, why do people keep speeding up, slowing down songs, putting them in their TikToks, and then I go discover this actual song, and I'm go, oh, this is the real tempo of the song. Oh, this is what the real song sounds like. So, like, I'm interested. Like, there are some songs that are being used in these things that I have discovered a couple artists and albums through Reels or Instagram or whatever the hell that is, that people just overused. That I'm like, oh, you know what? This actually sounds pretty cool. And, I found, like, a couple records, like I said. But, man, like, it seems like that is the new way to really, like, get music out there, is through freaking stupid TikToks and Instagram, like a quick 5-second snippet of a song on a reel or something like that.
Damn.
And it's kind of sad, but at least it's something, because I'm at least finding a little bit of nuggets of gold out there once in a while. But man, we need a better delivery system to like hey people, music, here's some music for you guys.
The problem is that at the end of the day, it's the industry.
Yeah,
it's Billboard. They don't want to change. When the entire Taylor Swift album is in the top 20,
all her discographies in the fucking
no. So her newest album had 15 songs on it. On the Billboard Top 200, songs 1 through 15 were Taylor Swift.
Yikes.
That is
you just
big yikes.
You're not. Unfortunately, and then people don't want to listen to rock music.
Yeah, it's sad.
They don't want to listen to punk. They don't want to listen to metal. They want to listen to rap, hip hop,
and Taylor Swift.
Pop. Yeah, and so then that's it. And then there's no clubs. There's no places for bands to play. People don't want to throw house shows. People don't do that anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, half my tours, well, and again, rock bands don't generally do it, but punk bands, anytime, anywhere, any place.
Yep,
I can't. I played DMVs that got rented out. I played houses, and I played garages and basements and attics.
Yep, that's how you gotta do it. Yeah, I wasn't technically, my bands weren't punk or anything, but we did that. We did those DIY shows all the time because it's what was available, and no one's really doing those anymore. If they are doing something, they're just bringing some dumb dude, some dumb rapper trying to. Oh god, those are the worst. Like I have seen like house shows like recently where they try to get a rapper trying to do this, and I'm like, this does not work at all.
Dude, my favorite is when you get a rapper performs live and they just play their tape with their lyrics and everything, and they go up and they just kind of like sing and dance along with their album. It's like, whoa.
Right. They do the Milli Vanilli thing, right?
Oh my god.
But they're not even lip singing.
Yeah, they're not even lip singing. They're just hype manning themselves.
Yeah, they're hype manning their own album, exactly.
Well, that's sad.
It's so sad, man. Oh my god.
What? But they're making money. Why aren't we doing this, guys? I mean,
we should. Let's
we really
go.
Should. Yeah.
Rap music starting today. Collab. All three of us. We're starting a rap group.
I spell rap WRAP.
WRAP. Lettuce rap. That's what the genre will be called. I don't fucking know. Oh, jeez. Anyways, that was a great talk. That was some great albums to check out. And I guess we're already at the 2.5 hour mark here. What a conversation to have been had. I guess let's do some outros and we'll get you guys on out of here. We'll start off with Stupenzo. What do you got coming up?
Well, I just premiered me and my buddy Sammy watched the 1995 horror film Rumpelstiltskin.
Ooh,
it was bad. It's funny. Yeah. Spoilers. Yeah, if your killer monster villain character can be destroyed by straw and saying his name, there's not a lot of tension going on in the movie. So watch that movie. It was very funny. I got the Watch of the Crow coming out next week. And then, every Sunday and possibly Mondays, I will be streaming on my channel doing Tales from the Dork Side, talking about current pop culture and other events. And, just fun stuff. Just hanging out, sharing some lols. That's about it.
Good stuff. Well, I got your links down in the description for anyone watching now or later. Please do go check out Stupenzo and his channels, and hell yeah, give him a shout out. Fucking A. Wait, did you say you were gonna watch the new Crow or the regular Crow movie?
No, the OG Crow, which will be coming out in congruence with the remake coming out. So,
there's only one Crow movie.
Actually, after watching the first Crow movie, I'm excited to watch the terrible sequels with Edward Furlong and Tara Reid ones. So I'm excited to watch
City of Angels or
whatever the hell.
Fucking those are still considered acceptable. It's this new one. At least for me. I mean, I've never seen the movies. However, I worked at a Hollywood video. I worked around movie snobs like.
Damn, that would have been a dream job.
It was fun. Oh man, I've got some stories. Let me tell you. But it seemed everyone was okay with they weren't their favorites, but everyone was okay with the sequels.
Right.
Because this looks.
Oh my god, this is the same level of Jared Leto doing Joker. It's like the same look and everything. This whole face tattooed. I wouldn't be surprised if he has grills in his teeth like Joker did. Like, and I like what's his face. I like
Skarsgård. They were comparing the Crow, new Crow and old Crow to like new Hot Topic and old Hot Topic. And it's like, spot on.
Old
That
Hot
is pretty
Topic
spot on.
was so good. Oh, my
Oh
God.
yeah, old everything was good.
I was a Spencer's Gifts kid.
Oh, dude, my mall was so perfect. The mall I went to literally had Hot Topic, and then across the way Spencer's. So I went to both.
I would also spend a lot of time at Suncoast Video. God, but no money. That place was expensive. You know, you buying all the movie memorabilia and limited edition DVDs, the hard stuff to find.
Oof.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I had a pretty good my first job was working at a C's Candy.
Oh.
So I would my C's Candy was at the corner. Right next to me was Victoria's Secret. Right across from me was Fredericks of Hollywood. I'm 14. I'm a 14-year-old kid, right? And where are the ladies going to get free samples? And then right down the way was Hot Topic. So whenever I took my break, and I actually met the drummer for Save Ferris, when he got kicked out of the band, he went back to Sacramento because that's where he was from, and worked at Hot Topic.
No shit.
Yeah, so I became good at cat because they kicked him out for he got too heavy in the coke. So he had to get cleaned up and
drugs.
Drugs. But nice guy. And I used to get so many great records, like CDs, because they would get some of the hard to get, some of the not regularly distributed punk rock CDs at Hot Topic. Real early. This is OG Hot Topic. So
no shit.
Dude, stuff. I got so many good records.
Damn. Good times. Alrighty then. Sophomore John, where can people find you? And what do you got coming up?
You can find me on Twitter /X at Sophomore John, spelled SOPHMOREJOHN. You can also find me on Rumble at rumble.com/late show, where I do some afternoon pirate radio shows called Afternoon Delight. It's a more traditional radio show, but I play whatever the hell I want. And nice. And then during the evenings, you'll be able to catch me as I do the Analog Vinyl Hour, where we go through a record from beginning to end, and we kind of go through the history, where it was recorded, how it did in the Billboard charts, funny stories about the songs, and really just kind of do a deep dive on some of the best records ever made, and also some of the best records you've never heard, like Belly Button back here. And and then I'm going to be starting a new show called The Roadhouse, where I sit down and talk to people about the stories about music, whether it's a favorite album or maybe a favorite show or song. One thing, and as musicians, you guys know this, like clubs and bars, they have stories to tell. When you're on the road, you have a story to tell, but every song has a story to tell, whether it's about us or a memory. And so I want to explore that with a bunch of different people and have that conversation because it's fun.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hell yeah. Well, his Sophomore John's his link tree is down at the bottom. You could check him out in the description. Go check him out on Rumble. Where else are you at? Just Rumble or?
Just Rumble, because so the Roadhouse show will probably be on more platforms. I am here on YouTube and stuff, but you can't do pirate radio on YouTube. You get kicked off.
Rumble still lets you play some music.
oh yeah. It's the wild. Actually, they just put me in one of their commercials. So.
Oh shit! Let's go. Right on. Fuck yeah.
So.
Well, everybody, go to Rumble and check him out. And then what was that?
Oh, I was gonna say, and don't forget to check out the Florida Man Games, FloridaManGames.com. I helped get them sponsored. I'm going to be live streaming, basically the Florida Olympics.
Oh.
So if you like humor with a sporting event, this is definitely the place to be. And it's very Florida. Still the catalytic converter. Run away from the cop. Try to find the frozen iguana.
Yeah.
Throw the crocodile in the drive-through window to escape for safety, all while being pursued by 100% Florida Sheriff's Department police officers. Okay. And that's just one of many events.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a hoot and a holler and a hell of a fun time. But just people have, you know what I mean? Like nobody has fun anymore.
That's true.
That's kind of what the Florida Man games are, embracing Florida Man, while also allowing people to laugh and have a hell of a good time doing it. And then if you remember the the guy that would go out in the hurricanes in Florida with a big American flag and yeah, he's singing the national anthem.
Oh no shit.
Yes. So
no shit. Oh my god, that sounds wild. And
we're awesome.
And you're gonna be doing that where?
So that's gonna be streaming on Rumble. I actually helped hook that up.
No shit.
Yeah, because they were looking for something a little different, and I said, "Hey, Rumble's in Florida. The Florida Man games are in Florida."
That is hilarious.
I just got asked to do a band poster for a band called Florida, like DUH. I'm like, that's a great name.
Nice.
But
for you guys, I dropped the link down there too if you wanted to check it. Great
Florida,
pictures.
Man.
They even have a mullet contest.
What is this shit? This is the wildest shit ever.
Yep. Yeah. There's no mechanical bull. It's a mechanical crocodile.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
And it's all put on by one guy, and he's awesome.
What the? Wow. That is some shit. Holy. Well, now I have something to check out later. Well, as for me, what do I got going on? I think I got Diddly Squat. Today was a book club. Wednesday's book club. Friday nights over on Bielsa Hub. We got Bielsa Pub with Devil Made Me Do It, Kenzo, all those friends. We got late Friday night, 2 a.m. Technically Saturday morning, Bielsa Pub. And then Saturdays, we got the Company Boys, where me, DJ Access, and Insidious Bliss, we all trio. We do the Trifle Tower on a video game and get her done. Sundays, every other Sunday, we got Halo with the boys, and every other Sunday, every other Sunday, and then between those Sundays, probably some more gaming. Tons of gaming on this channel. I know I'm a music guy, but I'm so addicted to video games. What can you do? So yeah, come back to check me out playing video games, and then back here again. Next Sunday, there will not be a book club. We reschedule next Sunday to the next week, and it won't be Wednesday, it will be Thursday. So next book club will be in 2 weeks on a Thursday, and we will be talking an actual book. We'll be talking the second Halo book, The Flood. And yeah, that'll be in 2 weeks on a Thursday. And I think we'll have Angry Canadian, I think Imp Black Belt, and a couple other people. I'll have to triple check on that. But that'll do it for me and us here today. Gentlemen, that was a fantastic talk. Chat, You were awesome. We love you very much. Yeah, I think that'll do it for us today. I'm gonna hit that outro and say goodbye to everybody. Laters.
Hey.